Well, 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 well. If it isn't all the TikTok, YouTube atheists. Oh. All right, we got our first guest. Can I get your age, please?
40.
All right. And God's real. Prove me wrong.
Well, okay, so I went outside and I looked at the trees and I just said, like, wow, there can't be a God.
So, do you want to engage, or do you want to Do you want to just get kicked? I'm talking. I don't need any trolls.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you make such a compelling argument.
Yeah, get out of here. And so, guys, I'm looking for serious conversations, no trolls. Okay, that last guy was. I mean, he literally said, "Look at the trees." This is like a known atheist joke that they throw around to mock the teleological argument. Can't take it seriously. Ogar, if you want to request back up, we can try again. Hey, Patrick, how old are you?
19.
Okay. God is real. Prove me wrong.
Um, can you tell me why you believe that first? Or like what evidence is there that he is real?
Yeah, so you can't get something from nothing, right? Right?
Well, I mean, the Big Bang.
You think the Big Bang? So you would say that the Big Bang comes from nothing?
Well, I believe that is how how the universe was created. Yeah.
When have you ever seen something come from nothing?
When have you ever seen God?
I've seen him every day since I started believing. I see him in the people, I see him in my thoughts, I see him in the sky, in the trees. Not to like harken back to that last troll who wanted to call it the look at the trees argument. But yeah, you can't get this level of complexity without a god. What's
What do
your
you think
evidence that
about
there's no
religions
god?
with? What's your like opinion on religions with different gods?
Well, what my opinion on specific religions is kind of besides the point. I'm just talking about general theism. But what's your argument that there's no god?
um, I mean, he's never made himself evident.
Well, maybe not to you, but maybe it's because you just don't have enough faith. Ogar, are you going to take this seriously or no?
I'll do my best.
All right.
Also, I have one more. So, if we're basing this all off the scripture and what's written in a book, isn't the Matunja Man Eater? Wouldn't that be true as well? Are you familiar with Matunja Man
I
Eater?
never said anything about a book. I'm talking about philosophy.
Wait, okay, yeah, but like you believe in the Bible.
I mean, it exists.
Do you believe that most things in the Bible are true and happened?
The Bible's full of contradictions. I'm talking about theism.
But do you think that the events in the Bible are true and happened?
I'm not a historian or a
Like a vast majority. Do you believe that they are true and that they happened?
I'm not a Christian, man. I just believe in God.
Well, you don't have to be Christian to like read or understand the events in the Bible.
Yeah, I don't really consider the Bible. But so like why are you going to attack the Bible to attack theism?
Well, I'm not attacking the Bible. I'm just asking you, do you believe that specific events in the Bible are true and happened?
Maybe some of them. I don't know which ones.
And these stories that are written to try to explain something. So like I could come on here and say I believe our God is a giant turtle that cracked from an egg in the sky because it actually was written down at some point in history.
Patrick, you're
is
coming
true,
at
by
this
the
at the
way.
wrong angle. I don't hold the Bible to be true necessarily.
Yeah, we
Well,
just give a philosophical argument. Like either God was always creating or not always creating. If he was always creating,
Yeah.
then the universe always existed. If the
Ogar
universe
gets it.
always existed, yeah, if the universe always existed, then it never came into existence. If it didn't come into existence, then God didn't create it. But if God exists, then he did create it. So then if that means that if God was always creating, doesn't exist. If God was not always creating, he changed from not creating to creating. And that means that he would have to be in time. But if God's in time, he didn't create the universe. And again, if he didn't create the universe, he doesn't exist.
Wait. So like you're saying that so like he would have to be outside time to create the universe. I just want to make sure I understand you correctly. He has to be outside of time in order to create the universe because the universe has time as one of its parts. So if he's in time, he's
Right.
in the universe and it's ontologically so he'd have to be outside time. But if he's outside time, he can't change because change only happens in time. So if he's outside the universe, he can't make the universe, and if he's inside the universe, he can't make the. Hang on a second. Let me just change something real quick here. All right, thanks for that. I guess we'll do a different topic tonight than what I was planning on doing. Thanks, Ogar. In fact, do you want to just stay up here, Ogar, just so that I can, because I'm new to atheism.
Yeah, you're
Thank you,
brand
Patrick.
new, so I'll help
See,
you
this,
out.
this is how you do it, man. Like Patrick, this is how you convince somebody that God's not real. You give a philosophical argument. Nice try, Patrick. I'm gonna keep Ogar. Ogar, you really turned over a new leaf. I'm happy to see that you can actually engage and like convince somebody in real time. Shit, let's run this one instead. You want to be my buddy tonight?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ogar.
Oh God. Oh God.
Thanks for doing that with me, Ogar. That was fun.
Yeah. Dude, I think you missed the end of my stream, but I had somebody that like I walked him right up to the door and then he just like, you know, covered his eyes and his ears and refused.
That's a bummer.
He literally had to end up saying, "I guess I don't know what the word create means."
Hopefully, this is the type of person who will lie awake at night for years thinking about that. Not just that conversation, but those concepts that you've exposed him to, and will eventually change his mind. Hopefully. Because if you walked him up, that means he was kind of tracking. Hey, John, are you at least
He
18?
was.
Hey, what's up, man?
Oh, chilling. Are you at least 18?
So you're an atheist, and you're asking what the best evidence for God is.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, but you said
well,
you're at least 18?
yeah,
Okay.
I'm 39.
Okay. What God do you believe in first before we start?
So, I'm gonna give.
Yeah, what God do you
I don't
believe
think
in?
you're. I'm a Christian, but not a. Okay.
It's
Have you
fine.
read the Bible?
Christian's fine. Yeah, I've read the
Have-
Bible.
Okay. So my faith is based on the red words that Jesus says. There is not one thing that is hateful against homosexuals or anything that Jesus ever says in the Bible.
But how do
I
you
know
know
this.
that he said any of those things?
Jesus was actually a man. And you know what? That's a really good point. How do you
problem with
know? How do you
problem with
know
the
that he said
Gospels-
those things? That doesn't. Okay, for me, that doesn't matter. Are you eating edibles
What?
right now? Are you straight getting lit?
No, but wait. You said that it doesn't matter whether or not you can verify the words you hinge your faith on.
Yes.
Why in the world not?
Well, then why does it matter that you believe in nothing?
I don't believe in nothing.
You don't believe it. Yeah.
You're an
neither of us-
atheist.
Neither of us believes in nothing, and also we both care about whether or not the things we believe are true. Because to believe something means that your
Okay.
attitude toward a proposition is that it's true. And so, if you're going to have the attitude toward a proposition that it's true, you probably should verify that it's true first.
Okay.
So we've both taken the position that we don't want to believe something is
That-
true until we verified it. And what you're saying is, well, I'm just going to believe it because I want to believe it, and it doesn't matter whether or not I have any reason to think that it's actually
Okay.
true.
So
And
okay.
that's literally the
It's
very
unjustified.
definition of being irrational.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me explain. So I grew up Roman Catholic. I was
Irrelevant.
confirmed.
Irrelevant. How do you know, or why
Okay.
should
So
why
either
is it
you
okay
let
to
me
believe
talk
things
or you
without
don't let me talk.
justification?
I'm just talking like
Well,
I'm
we're-
not a Bible thumper. So
It's all
just
right.
let me
We
talk.
just want to get to the substance. Like just get to your argument for it, because like we're talking about. You brought up that you believe in the red words of Jesus. We asked, how do you know Jesus said these things? You basically like, I don't know whether or not he did, but I'm gonna just tell myself that I did. Ogar
Well,
pointed out
like
rightfully
he
so
did
that that's
actually
irrational.
exist.
Well, that doesn't.
Like
It's besides
it's
the
not
point.
irrational.
It's besides the point. Like he could have existed, but how do we know that he said the words on the page? Right?
Okay. Okay.
Like I could
So let
write
me.
down
Okay.
I
So
could
let
write
me.
down a book that has things all that you said and make
Okay.
them all up. You know what I mean?
Okay. So this is where I'm at with it. I believe, because of what has happened in my life, I believe in a higher power greater than myself.
What's that got to do with the
So-
authenticity of what's written and attributed to Jesus?
Okay. So the thing is, you're trying to discredit like
I'm trying
words
to keep us focused.
by a man. You're trying to discredit words of a man that is proven historically to exist.
No, John, you understand that like Do you agree that Abraham Lincoln really existed?
No, I've never heard of that man. I can't believe that you would ever say that out loud. That's wild.
John?
Like, dude, like, come on, man. Like,
No, I'm trying to make a point here,
this
and
is
if you
what you're
can't
doing.
engage,
This is what you're doing to
John,
me.
John, I'm trying to make a point here, and you're refusing to engage. We
Okay,
both
I'll
agree that
engage.
Abraham Lincoln. We both agree
Engage.
that Abraham Lincoln actually existed, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, there is a book and a movie based on the book called Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, where he fights vampires.
That's a
Now,
great
just
movie,
because
actually.
just because we both agree that Abraham Lincoln actually existed, that doesn't mean that the story about him fighting vampires is real. So even if we agree that Jesus actually existed, that doesn't mean that the things that happen in the stories written about him actually happened in reality. You're saying that you base your belief on what's in the stories, but if what's in the stories isn't real, then you're basing your belief on something false. So in
Well,
order to make sure that you're not basing your belief on something false, you must have to verify that the stories are accurate. How did you
okay.
verify that the stories are accurate?
Okay. So let's not go and talk about the stories of the Bible. Let's
You
talk
only
about.
brought them up.
Yeah, we were talking about my faith. So
Yeah,
you
you
asked me
said that
about.
why you believe, you said what you
Hey,
believe in. You said
hey.
what you believe in is the red letters of Jesus, and we've pointed out that there's no reason to, there doesn't seem to be any reason to believe that Jesus actually said those words. So why does it matter? You could literally just read any book that has message you like and base your life on it. Why would you pick the Bible when it also has all that other horrific shit in it?
Well, the thing is, um, I do actually agree with you. I believe that a lot of the stories, or all of the stories, are fabricated by man um, to conform
Just
humans.
not going to engage at all.
I
Just
mean,
complete, like,
like
dodge everything.
that's like that would include the words of Jesus too. I don't really know that we're gonna
Hey,
get anywhere, John. But thanks for trying. We'll try again on Tuesday if you want, or Monday maybe. Um, let's try somebody else. Maybe we get a better guest. Okay, we have Adam. Hey, are you at least 18?
Oh yeah, I'm over 18 for sure.
Okay, what God do you believe in?
I'm Muslim.
Cool. So, what's your best evidence for God?
Um, oh, just before I say, because I just heard what he say. Um, we have in Islam we have something called the chain of narration. So if we say the prophet said something, we have an isnad or a chain of narration that goes back to the prophet, which Christianity doesn't have. I just want to make that clear before I say my point.
Well, they'll both you guys and those guys will both claim that they have that. And
No,
even
no,
if
no.
it's true, like even if it's true that that's the case for either of you, it doesn't mean that the substance is accurate, and it doesn't mean that it was perfectly preserved. Maybe
No,
it was well
yeah, I
preserved.
completely,
Like,
yeah, I completely agree. But the point is, I'm saying that Christians don't have a chain of narration going back to Jesus. So they
That's
can't prove
irrelevant,
that
though.
Jesus. No, I'm just saying they can't prove.
That's meaningless. Like, this has nothing to do with whether we should believe in a God. Why should we believe in a
No,
God?
I said, I prefaced it before I said, I'm saying I'm just clarifying something before I
Okay,
get
we're
to my
done with the
point. That's it.
preface. We're
All
done
right,
with the
thank you.
preface.
So the reason I believe in God or a God is because I don't understand. I don't know your necessarily belief system, but I do believe in the Big Bang. Um, do you believe in the Big Bang? I don't want to associate
yeah,
things that you don't believe.
yep.
Okay, cool. So my clearest, most simplistic understanding of who God is that scientists don't have a clear explanation. They simply just don't know what occurred before the Big Bang. That's a fact. But we can. I also believe in cause and effect. So we can all agree that something had to cause the Big Bang.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think we're in agreement on that, right? Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
So please fact check me if I'm wrong on anything I'm saying. Space, time, and matter from the Big Bang all came into existence simultaneously from the
Well,
Big
you're
Bang.
wrong on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, where am I wrong?
We have no reason to believe that. We have no reason to believe that those things came into existence with the Big Bang.
But that's not what the theory says, according to most of the cosmologists.
Okay, but space, time, and matter did come from the Big Bang. Whether they
No.
came,
No, that's what I'm telling you. You're wrong
It
about.
expanded from the hot dense state. Like the Big Bang talks about the expansion of the universe and not its actual true
Yeah.
origin.
Okay. All right. So, from my understanding, because I believe in cause and effect, with that set aside, is I don't think the universe. Correct me if I'm wrong again. I don't believe the universe in and of itself is intelligent. Personally, like I don't believe a rock is intelligent. I don't believe stardust is intelligent.
We get it.
Is that accurate to say?
I would agree. Where are you going?
All right, cool. So, if the Big Bang, if we come from the universe or we're a part of the universe, which I also believe, if we're a part of the universe and we're intelligent, I don't believe that non-intelligence, something that's innately non-intelligent, can produce intelligence.
What's the problem
And
with
so
that?
if we don't, no, so I'm saying if the Big Bang had a cause, and from that cause, the effect of that cause was the universe and everything that we see in the universe, all the planets. And,
Adam, you just blew right past the question Lobes asked you. And it's a very important one because nothing that you say from here is going to matter unless you can answer that question.
I didn't hear his question. I was in the middle of talking, so I didn't hear his question. So, like, if I can just finish my point, and then
nothing else that you say matters unless you can demonstrate why we should believe that intelligence can't come from natural processes.
I didn't say anything about natural process. I said,
you said,
do you believe? I said, okay, can I talk? I said, do you believe the universe is intelligent? Your answer was no. I'm saying, I believe we come from the universe. I have that belief.
That's fine. This isn't addressing what I said, Adam. I don't know why you think you have to like go back over a bunch of shit that wasn't in contention.
Why are you so argumentative? Like, are you like mad? Like, we're just having a conversation.
So Adam,
No.
the whole point, Adam, is that like you said that there's no way that we can get intelligence from something that's not intelligent, and I was asking what the problem with that was. Like, why is it the case that that's not possible?
Because you don't have any example of that happening in reality.
We are an example of that happening.
Yeah, but what's your proof? That's my whole. That's my whole point.
You are the one making the claim that it can't happen, Adam. So you need to provide a demonstration that it's impossible.
Yeah, I'm saying to you is that your only evidence of something non-intelligent.
We're not. It's not on us to provide evidence, Adam. You're misunderstanding. That's a burden shift. What you need to do now is support your claim that intelligence can't come from a non-intelligent universe.
Even if we had no, I'm just gonna like make it extra clear for you. Even if we had actually no examples of intelligence coming from non-intelligence, that wouldn't mean that it's impossible because it didn't happen until it did, right? Like you didn't ever put on pants by yourself until you did. It was still possible for you to do it, even though you had never done it before.
Yeah. The question on the screen is, what's your best evidence for God? I'm saying simply, you're saying that we are the example of intelligence coming from something that's not intelligent. I'm saying I don't believe that. I believe something intelligent.
No, you're misrepresenting the conversation, Adam.
Yeah, so
I would like the conversation.
I get it. If you can't let me speak before you interrupt.
Well, I'm not going to let you speak when you're lying about the conversation that we're having.
How am I lying about my opinion?
Yes, because you're not lying about your opinion. You're lying about how the conversation has gone. What happened in this conversation is you claimed that you could provide evidence for God. We asked you what it is, and then your evidence for God rests on your claim that that intelligence couldn't have come from the universe without God existing. And so, in order for us to accept your claim that God exists,
you're misrepresenting what I said. I did not say that. I said, stop talking and let me speak. I said the universe had a cause.
No, you said that intelligence can't come from an unintelligent universe. You said the universe is intelligent.
Sir, what did I say before that? I said the universe
before that. I don't care what you said before that. Okay, be quiet and
listen. I said the universe had a cause.
Dude, this is the contention right now.
Yeah, this is the contention.
If I can't get my point, you just interrupting. I said the universe.
Adam, we need you to address the contention that we have. You've made the claim that
address it. If every time I try to speak,
you're going off topic. You're trying to address a point that we're not talking about. We're talking about whether or not intelligence is possible to come from something that's not intelligent. Then you start talking about the universe itself having a cause.
You're skipping the first point I made.
Because
Before I
that's
said
not the,
we don't
that's
care
not the
about that
point in
point.
contention.
No, oh my! I said the first point. Please stop talking. The first
No,
point I
because
said
if you
was
can't,
oh my
Adam, we don't
god.
give a fuck about the first point. We don't give a fuck about the first point. We don't give a fuck about the first point. I don't know how many times I have to say it. We don't give a fuck
The
about the
first point is in
Adam,
preference to
we
what I'm
don't give a
saying.
fuck about the first point. We don't give a fuck about the first point. I don't know how many times I have to tell you we don't give a fuck about the first point. All that matters right now, the point of contention that you need to address or admit that God doesn't exist, you need to address how you can support your claim that God is necessary in order for intelligence to exist.
So are you gonna? All right. So Ogre, are you gonna let me speak, or are you
Only
gonna
if
interrupt
you
me as soon as I
address
say
that
something
point.
you don't agree with? Because
Only
I
if you
don't know
address
if you know
that
that's
point.
not how conversation works.
It just has to be relevant.
Adam, if you address the point, then we will not interrupt you.
No,
If you talk
no,
about some other
no,
nonsense, we'll interrupt you
see,
again.
You're still talking. Be
Oh my
quiet and
fucking
listen.
god, dude!
You have the
Adam,
inability to
just address
listen.
the point, and no one will interrupt you.
I'm trying, but because as soon as I say
No,
something
now
you
you're
don't
just
agree with,
talking
you
about
interrupt
doing
me.
it. Just
You're doing it
fucking
again.
do it.
You're doing it again. You're doing it again.
No,
Shut
because you're
up.
not. You're not
Shut
addressing the
up.
point.
Adam,
I'm gonna
Adam.
continue interrupting you until you address the. Yeah,
All right, cool. That's cool.
I'm just sick of the meta. I don't need the meta.
Yeah.
I don't need the. Well, you're not letting me talk. Well, then just say what you are supposed to be saying, and nobody will interrupt you. Address the fucking point. Jesus.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That was really frustrating. I don't know how he didn't get that we were talking about his claim that intelligence cannot come from non-intelligence. He immediately started talking about the universe needing a cause. It's completely unrelated. Completely unrelated. We don't give a shit about that.
Yeah.
Or sorry, we don't give a fuck about that. I can't believe I
Yeah.
got your quote wrong. You said it like 40 times. Yeah, cue the music. I'm not gonna play the piano. I almost did. I was like, you know what? Nah. I can't do it to him twice. Guys, the guest box is open.
Killing me.
Oh, it's not open anymore. We got a guest. Hey, Sunflower, are you at least 18?
Hello?
Hi, are you at least 18?
Yes.
Okay, what god do you believe in?
One of just top origin, that there is one above all.
Okay, so the Marvel god. Awesome. So what's your best evidence for God?
Water. In any
Explain.
chemical nature, you can explain where every single thing scientifically comes from, but you cannot explain an origin of water. You can explain the chemical components. You can mirror something that is almost chemically balanced the same, but it's not the same natural origin of water. So even if you said from space or from anywhere else, ice, anywhere, okay, but
What are you
did
talking
that
about
come
that
from?
can't be explained about water? I don't understand.
You can't explain where water comes from. Where did it
Yeah, we
originate?
can absolutely explain where water comes from. It's a combination of
can't.
hydrogen and oxygen atoms.
The desert.
It's
But
the
where
same
did
as
it come
any other
from?
chemical.
But where does it come from?
It comes from
Every-
oxygen and hydrogen atoms
But
combined.
where does it come from?
Oh my fucking god!
It comes from it comes from hydrogen and oxygen atoms
doesn't.
coming together. Yes, it does. That's what water is.
They don't come together because then, hold on, just hear me out. Hear me out. I'm not trying to argue. You asked me my evidence. But if that's the case, then no desert is actually empty. It's just a chemical compound that is desolate of whatever correlates to make the water connection. So you could infuse chemicals
What the
into the
fuck
air
are
of
you
the
talking
desert
about?
and re-originate water.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Are you talking about alchemy or
Why are
something?
you
What are
swearing?
We cuss
Why are you
sometimes
swearing? Why
on
am I
here.
getting sworn at? No, that's okay. But like, I was just asking a general question because this is also.
Yeah, I'm asking what the fuck you're talking about. Can
But
you
you're
please explain what
swearing
you're
at
talking
me.
about?
But
Who
I'm
gives a
genuinely.
fuck? We're all adults here. We've all heard
That's
swear
fine.
words before. What
But
the fuck
you're
are you talking
misconceiving
about?
what I'm asking.
No, I'm not misconceiving. Well, yeah, I'm
What-
not
what do you-
understanding. That's why I'm asking you to explain it.
Yeah.
And instead of explaining it, you're complaining about the words that I'm using.
What
Actually,
are
I'm
you talking
not.
about with the
Okay,
desert?
then explain it.
So, the desert is desolate of all things because it lacks several components that make the
wrong.
origin of
The
the
desert is
chemical
not
component
desolate.
of what. You're right. It's full of sand, and the pyramids used to be made of glass.
Oh my fucking. Okay, so this is just some ancient aliens flat Earth.
No.
bullshit.
No, but you won't even. You're misperceiving me, and you won't even let me ask or
Okay,
explain.
Sunflower, how
you just
about
keep
this?
cutting me off before I
How
make
about
my
this?
point.
Because I think we're going to get nowhere with this. I'm going to grant we don't know where water comes from. How does this get us to God?
We don't have an explanation for where he comes from. I too also struggle with his existence and where he comes from. I don't know. I want to know just as much as you.
No, I
I
mean,
just, in my own
like,
experiences,
what's the evidence
go
for
ahead.
God? If we don't know something, our incredulity of any topic has no positive value toward any conclusion, including
Because
God.
the way that you're descripting water is not the way in which I'm explaining it to prove the existence.
Well, however you
The
mean it,
actual
then.
existence of water itself. If you took the perspective of an ice cube and it melted.
No, Sunflower, you're not
No,
understanding.
you're
If we're
not
granted,
understanding
stop.
me.
No, you're not understanding. Let me explain what's happening. If we
Okay.
grant you that we don't know where water comes from, let's say that we grant all of your nonsense about the desert and whatever, how does that get us to God?
The fact that something else exists without an explanation means something else exists without an explanation.
We would
Saying
have
that there's
It's
to.
not
something without an
necessarily
It does not.
the
That does not
existence of
correlate.
something that created
That's
something.
a non
No, because
sequitur.
everybody pictures God as a physical being.
No,
Everybody
that's
pictures
besides
God as an
Sunflower. You're all
existence of
over the
something
place. You
physical.
are all over the place.
I'm
So
not.
if something exists without an explanation, that has nothing to do with whether or not something else has an existence without an explanation. Also, if we don't know the explanation for
If
water,
something
that doesn't mean.
exists without, if
Oh,
something
Sunflower,
exists
please.
without the
If we
explanation,
don't know
if
the
something exists
explanation,
without the
Sunflower,
explanation,
Sunflower, I'm
if
still
something
talking.
exists without the
I'm sorry if the
explanation,
middle of my
that
sentence
means
interrupted the beginning of yours. I'm going to mute you and continue. So if we don't know the explanation of something, that doesn't mean it doesn't have one, right? In order to rule out, or in order to determine that something does not have an explanation, we'd have to rule out all possible explanations. And I don't know how we could possibly get through an exhaustive list and know that it's exhaustive. Or you can unmute.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is
you
just
won't
that,
let me
like,
finish the
what?
sentence to
Yeah,
understand the
because you're not
context. Can
addressing
I
the
finish it
point.
No, you
first?
didn't let me
Yeah,
finish
you're
mine
not
either.
addressing the point.
I did though,
Yeah,
but you won't let me finish the
You
entirety of
didn't.
the sentence.
You
I
didn't.
did. Let
because
me
you're not
finish,
addressing the
please.
point.
I'm
Sunflower, you're not
trying.
addressing the point.
You
No, you're
said
not trying. You're
I
not
am. You keep
trying.
cutting me. If something without an explanation can exist, then it is possible that something exists that doesn't have an explanation.
That has nothing to do with how we get to God. What is the
It
argument
absolutely
that concludes,
is. You don't
therefore
have an
God
explanation
exists?
of God if he exists or not.
That has nothing to do with what we're saying.
We need positive evidence or an argument of some kind. Like us not knowing where macaroni and cheese or poop
Because
or
your
water comes
perception
from
isn't
doesn't have
mine.
anything
It's
to
not the
do with
same.
God. I mean, how about this? Like, we don't know, let's say we don't know where grass comes from, therefore Bigfoot exists. What's the connection? It's a non sequitur, just like your water to God thing has nothing to do with it.
No,
How do you
because
get
you
there?
have to take to the existence of something that the existence of God itself is a grandeur. The existence of God is such a high perspective that the only way to rationalize a conversation about it is to question every
I don't
single
think
thing
that
that we
she's
ever could about a
capable.
person
Okay,
I
meta
don't
or
think she's
thing or an
capable of a rational
existence.
conversation.
Yeah, this is getting a little. I don't know where this person came from.
Yeah, because it makes what I'm saying makes sense. And I'm sorry that doesn't fit
Doesn't.
your description of the agenda you're attempting.
It doesn't make any
But
sense at all.
because it does, that upset you. So I didn't come here for that. I came here to hear your evidence as well, and I just had a question about it because I wanted to hear your side of it, genuinely because I also have this question. Instead, you attacked this like I was saying what you're saying is wrong. And that is what somebody who is upset about me being right would do. So, sorry that it upset you. Sorry my take is not agreeable. You have a good night.
I'm sorry too. All right, you get out of here, Sunflower.
That's all I heard.
See, now that's the perfect application of the piano. That's the best way to do
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
I was-
when they
I-
start rambling on about some nonsense, just keep dun, dun, dun. And I feel like whenever it randomly played in your live, it was so often it was the perfect moment. Guys just like rambling on about bullshit that makes no sense, and you're sitting there listening with a straight face, and all of a sudden out of nowhere,
Yeah, and then I crashed the fuck out.
all right, we've got another guest who wants to come up. Hey, Daily Driven, are you at least 18?
Yeah,
What God do you believe in?
the one and only.
Which one is that?
The one and only.
But like, which one specifically? Because everybody who believes in God is going to say they believe in the one and only God.
I don't know, it's just called God.
Me?
No, you're saying which one, I'm just saying he's called God. I don't know what you mean by which one.
Like, it's not a specific
Yes, you
religion?
do. You're
No.
not that dumb.
We're gonna need you to be good faith here, man. So
What's your best
do you
evidence
believe
for
in a
God?
specific one, or you just believe in general theism, or what?
Catholicism, I guess.
Oh, that was easy.
Jesus.
It didn't have to be like pulling teeth.
You always
man.
can tell the Christians because they're ashamed to admit that they're Christian.
It's like they're embarrassed about it. All right, well, what's your best evidence for God?
All right. So my best evidence for God is that you're broke, like sitting here on a live. Basically, you're the equivalent of a homeless person, a modern day homeless person, begging for money, trying to like elicit reactions out of people. And then me, a God driven man, successful, like,
You
come
know
on,
what?
man.
I'll take that. So that's pretty convincing. Thanks for coming up. I appreciate that. We're gonna go back to Ogar. He undid all of the like work you did just now with that robust argument about how I'm a homeless guy, and how he's like got like a big bulge in his pants or whatever the fuck he said. So basically now I'm gonna need somebody to come up here and deconvert me, I suppose. Maybe Smith has got it, but maybe Smith is a friendly. Well, either way, either it's going to be me and Smith versus you, or you and Smith versus me. We'll see. Hey, Smith, what's your age?
29.
And do you believe in God?
I believe in the Christian God, and my justification for that is basically like heaven and hell.
Okay. So heaven and hell's our ammo, Ogar. What you got about that?
Well, I just want to explain real quick. I believe this because Charlie Kirk is in hell looking up at us.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, that has nothing to do with whether or not a God exists.
Oh, he left. Well, I think that if you can be that irrational, I don't know that I can remain a theist at this point any longer. I just can't do it anymore. Yeah. This is like really
I had another
shell-shocking my
argument ready to
worldview.
go.
This is like
was gonna try to see if I
philosophical
could-
whiplash.
I was going to try to see if I could run the Godent from mind from memory. I don't know if I know the whole thing.
What's the gist of
I
it? We
call-
don't have anybody requesting right now. By the way, guys, request if you want to come up. What's run me through that one.
Oh, it's the one that you've already heard. The one that where God has a mind, minds only
Oh,
have one
yeah,
unchanging
yeah.
mental state or a series of changing mental states. Change only happens in time, and God is outside of time, so God only has one unchanging mental state. Acting on your will requires a change of mental states, so God can't act on his will. If he can't act on his will, he didn't create the universe, and if he didn't create the universe, he doesn't exist.
Yeah, that seems pretty coherent to me. What'd you say it was called?
Oh, I call all my arguments against God, I just call them Godent, like God,
Oh,
and
like
then,
is
and
not.
apostrophe T.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't. Yeah. That's what Godent. Got
Yeah, so that's what I like. That's my whole. I have like all my notes or whatever, and the category that I put all my arguments against God
is
is
Godent.
called Godent.
That's fun.
And so then I title them all like Godent from time, Godent from the mind, Godent from change, Godent from whatever. So yeah, it's my my notation that I
Yeah.
use. That's
It's
what
just
I think
like,
about.
the statement is God isn't. I think that's a
Yeah.
good way to sum it up, and these are the explanations as to why. Y'all, we got nobody in the guest queue, so if you want to come up, you'll be the very first, or you'll be the very next guest if you request right now. We're cooking here with a. Hang on, let me put this fucking shit on here. We're cooking here with a good 100 some odd people checking out the stream. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to tap the screen, and do not fill up this meter, or else I will sing to you. So you've been forewarned. You can add gifts and stuff if you feel like, if you want to support, but if you fill this all the way up, I'm going to sing to your ass, and then you're really in trouble. Make sure you guys are following Ogar, and if you did want to contribute to my meter down here, make sure you give him some love too, give him a follow, give him some gifts. Dude, I switched the mirror off on my camera, so now like it kind of trips me out. I'll try to like grab my lobe, and I'll grab like the opposite one, like because I've switched it so that it's not a perfect mirror anymore. So I guess I could wear something like a word of text on it.
Yeah, that always screws with me when I'm trying to like, I don't know, adjust anything. I'm always like, yeah, you're at the wrong side, because I also have mine not mirrored.
Yeah, that's fucks with me because and it's really weird because you think that the mirror would fuck you up, but you're so used to when you see yourself, it's a mirror, so you kind of already know what to do from, I guess, 40 years for you, 30 years for me. And using mirrors, it's like it's second nature. So when the mirror is mirrored, it's like, whoa, this is too many levels of mirror, and I'm fucking up. Thank you for your harmony, Davina, the villain. Smithy said support. Discordant Rhymes said support. Rat Soup in the house. Lemka, of course, and Sufi Yahoo. We appreciate you guys. The guest box is completely empty, so if you guys want to be the very next guest, request right now.
Yeah, it's been kind of rough getting people.
I don't know why that's like the case, because we got a pretty good audience going on here. I mean, people get guests with like 4 people in their live, you know. So
Yeah.
we just had like 100. By the way, we just like had a huge drop in the last like what 2 minutes. That's because of the no guests, I suppose. If it keeps
Yeah,
up for another
probably.
couple minutes, I'll do a restart.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
good times.
I'm gonna grab another holy water. I'll be back in like 2 seconds here.
All right. While Lobes is gone, I don't even know. Let's talk about why fine tuning is a dumb argument. I think fine tuning, honestly, like I see other atheists talk about how like fine tuning is one of these arguments. It's like, oh, this is actually one of the good arguments for theism. This is one of the best arguments for theism. And I just don't see how it's not just as bad as every other argument for theism, because like it relies on so many assumptions that no one can demonstrate.
Do you think
Like the low probability premise is just ridiculous.
do you consider that to be a teleological argument?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
teleological typically, yeah,
I
like
think
that
I
it was
think it's
designed
like
to be this way. Yeah,
I agree. I think that it's categorically one of the best ones, and not because it's great, but because the other ones don't get you specifically to like an intelligence. Like the idea is that they're supposing teleology, and there are but so many like the implications of teleology is like intelligence. So if you see teleology, like I don't see it, right? But if I did, I could understand why somebody would assume like a mind. But if you're talking about a first cause, it doesn't have to be intelligent. If you're talking about something transcendental, it doesn't have to be intelligent. If you're talking about something that's like ontologically the greatest whateverness, it doesn't necessarily have to be intelligent. I guess maybe it would have to be. But I think that one's even subjective too. Like the ontological thing, oh, it's the greatest. By what standard? Like what do you mean it's the greatest?
yeah, yeah. It'd be really hard to nail down what a great making property is. The other thing that I would say, that I've been thinking about is it's possible that actually the most like complex to defeat argument for God is like if you gave a theist the benefit of the best possible version of the modal ontological argument, that might be the most complex one to defeat, because defeating the very best version of that argument from a theist requires like an in-depth analysis of modal logical systems, and like most people don't have that level of understanding. And I mean, even I only barely understand enough. Well, even I, as if I'm some like educated guy, I'm not. But I run
It's
the
like
argument against it. But like,
yeah, I mean I think it's one of the weakest ones, but maybe there's like a way to say it that's more sophisticated. Or maybe I don't understand enough about it and think I have a good response and don't if you're saying otherwise. Because I think about it and the argument is if there is a possible world where there is like an ultimate or like there's like a maximally great being, then that would have to exist in all possible worlds, because if it didn't exist in all possible worlds, it's not a maximally great being. But I would say like
no. So it what? So the best version of the modal ontological argument is that um, it's necessarily possible that God exists, or that God, it's necessarily possible that God necessarily exists. And then you say that or what is it? It's like necessarily if God is possibly necessary, then God exists. God is possibly necessary, therefore God exists. I don't remember the exact formulation, but what it relies on is the I think it's the four axiom. I would have to look at my notes again. It's one of the axioms for the S5 system of modal logic, and that axiom is the only reason why the modal ontological argument works. The problem is that the reverse modal ontological argument also works in S5 modal logic. So then what you have to do is try to go to a different modal logic system, and the normal modal ontological argument doesn't work in those systems, but the reverse does. So
Yeah,
it's
I
just
know.
really hard to show that.
I don't know what you're talking about anymore, Ogard. You lost me.
Fair
I
enough.
wish I could keep up with that line of thing. Hey, Shadows, are you at least 18?
Yes, I am.
What god do you believe in?
I believe in the Norse pantheon.
That's fascinating. Okay, well, what's your best evidence for the Norse pantheon? Or god in general?
Well, personally, if you think about it, there's been signs of religious people all throughout history since creation itself, whether that's Christianity's creation, pagan creation. That part is irrelevant. It's more of the fact that there has always been gods in throughout history, throughout cultures, everything. There are all fundamental things. For example, god of trickery, you have Loki. Christianity, you have Satan or Lucifer, who tricked Adam and Eve into eating the fruit of knowledge.
Real quick, Shadow,
There's
I just want to ask real quick. Do you believe in the literal Norse pantheon, or do you believe in the Norse pantheon as some kind of idea, like something that you admire or something?
No, okay. Norse pantheon, I'm pagan, so like I believe in a lot of different things. Paganism is more of the belief of gods of different religions besides like the Christianity god.
I'm just
Does that
asking,
make
do you
sense?
believe that the gods literally exist, or are you one of those guys who's like culturally pagan?
That's actually, I haven't really thought about that.
Because a lot of pagans I've met will say that I believe in this god, but really when I say that, I believe in what they represent, not the literal god. I don't believe in the stories. I don't believe that God actually exists. So I'm just trying to get clarity on your position.
Oh, no. Okay, I see. Yeah, no. I would say, yeah, I believe more with the fact that I do think gods are real, but not in, like, maybe the literal sense. Like, I don't think, like, Loki or, like, all those people are actually, like, existing.
So,
well, that's all we're interested in, Shadows, is whether there's justification to think that any number of gods actually literally exist. And all you seem to be saying so far is just, well, a lot of people have believed in gods, so I guess I'm going to act like I believe in gods too. But whether or not a lot of people believe in something has literally nothing to do with whether it's true. Even when everybody believed that the earth was flat and that the sun revolved around the earth, neither of those things were true, even though basically everybody believed it. So obviously how many people or what percentage of people believe in something is irrelevant to whether it's true. And all we're interested in is what is actually literally true.
So it's just not the topic. So, but thank you for coming
I
up.
misunderstood the topic.
It's all good. It's all good, man. I appreciate you coming up. You seem nice and everything, but it's just not what we're looking for. You have a good one.
Oh, no, you're good. Yeah, let me.
Yeah, W for being honest.
But yeah, I appreciate it. I'm glad I asked that question because I mean I could have heard him out and wasted a lot of time only to find that out after 10 minutes, and that would have been irritating if I did that.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I said fascinating, I was like, this is probably not even really like true in the way that like this would mean, right? Probably not literally true. Hey, Terrapin Viking, are you at least 18?
Yeah, I'm 25.
What god do you believe in?
I'm a third generation Nordic polytheist.
Okay, so do you believe in the literal Norse
Yes,
pantheon?
I believe that Yes, I believe that the gods are immaterial while being able to interact with the world through material manners, through natural occurrence in our own minds.
Ogar, what are the odds?
Odds of what?
Like that happening? Somebody who's like, I believe in the Norse pantheon, but not literally, and then immediately following it up with a guy who's like, I literally believe in the actual Norse pantheon. You're being real, right? Like, that's what you believe in.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are the odds?
I'm
I've never
third
had
generation.
anybody say that to me, and now I got two back to back. It's slightly different flavors.
I have had
third
people,
generation.
I have had people tell me that they believe in the Norse pantheon, but typically when it comes down to it, they're most often, in my experience, like the previous guest, where they just believe it in like they just say that they believe it in like a pragmatic sense, or they like to act like they believe it or whatever.
Yeah.
But Terrapin, if you're saying that you literally believe that the Norse gods exist, I guess like, I have a couple of questions.
I wasn't
guess, but I think
finished.
What's that?
I wasn't finished.
Okay.
Go
I
ahead
just was
then. Finish
also not
finish
finished.
finish your intro and we'll get into it.
Yeah. So I studied paganism and theology and philosophy in college. I studied at Notre Dame. I didn't finish my PhDs in paganism. I only got up to master's, and then I couldn't pay for it anymore. Continuing independent study. I primarily started studying it because I realized that, well, primarily my primary reason was because I wanted to see if it could beat atheism. Because I went through an atheist phase. I went through a rebellious atheist and Christian phase, and I wanted to see what arguments I could drum up from an academic standpoint to try and prove myself wrong, and I found none.
Okay. Let's hear the arguments.
Because atheism. Well, I mean, because atheism is only counter arguments.
What's the argument for the gods, man? Like, you beg to be able to continue, and then you just said a bunch of irrelevant shit. So what are the actual arguments for the gods? What's one argument that the gods actually exist?
What's one argument that they actually exist? Natural occurrence.
That's
two words. You need to give the argument.
Did you say it was jargon?
No, I said you only said. Yeah, it's a label. You just said two words. You didn't give an argument. I'm asking you to give the argument. Do you understand the difference between saying a phrase versus giving an argument?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is this give the argument?
Yeah. So do your arguments hinge on Occam's razor? Just as a clarifying question.
No, just give the argument, Terrapin. You don't have to ask us questions. To give your argument.
I'm allowed to ask a clarifying question. Am I not?
No, not when you're being so dishonest and evasive. Just answer that. Just give the argument. Stop with all this meta and this nonsense.
Just walk us through it. Just walk us through it, okay? Like, you've got this natural occurrence, so that's the name of the argument. What is the natural occurrence argument?
Natural occurrence argument? Yeah, so through natural occurrence, while the gods being immaterial, but still being able to interact with the world in material manners through natural occurrence in our own mind, right? Our own mind. They are able to interact with the world through these natural occurrences.
This is just a claim.
Okay.
We're asking for the argument.
Shut the fuck up, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to shut the fuck up because you can't stay on topic.
I would rather talk to this dude that's actually trying to be patient.
I mean, over to interrupt you, but it's for good reason, because you did like just make a claim within the premises. Like, you're saying what the gods do, but we need evidence that the gods exist.
I'll tell you what. I'll just follow you. I'll send you a couple papers. If you follow me back, because I'm not going to be able to debate you with this aggressive, angry atheist.
Well, Terrapin, that's fine. I mean, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm not gonna read the papers. I just won't. Like, I have so many books that I've started and didn't have the time to finish. So this is something that's like, then those are things I was really interested in. I still didn't finish. So it's not that like I don't want to, like, I am interested, but I just don't think I'll read them. So you don't have to worry about sending them to me. But you can come up maybe on a night where it's just me, if you want. Then you can come up and I'll ask stuff.
Yeah, sure. I mean, my entire thing for coming up here was atheism only is able to argue against monotheism because polytheistic gods don't meet the omni properties, which a lot of atheist argumentation hinge upon.
Yeah, this is just nonsense, dude. Like,
You're just a fucking retard.
Never
so
mind.
now you just
I
talk
won't have you
about
back up.
ableist slurs.
Yeah, I won't have you
Yeah,
back up after
and
that
then you just
remark.
resort to ableist slurs because we don't let you ramble on
Can
about
we
nonsense.
can we
He
get
just likes
some
to smell his
L's
own
in the
farts.
chat for the ableist slurs? What the fuck was that all about? There never a need to resort to that bullshit. All right. I do not know how to pronounce this name. Hey, how do I pronounce your name?
Pretty sure this is a troll. I'd have to look at my notes, but they've come up on my stream, and I'm pretty sure they're a troll.
If you have them handy. Hey, how do I pronounce your name? Going once, going twice. All right. On that note, guest box is open, guys, and I want to acknowledge Radio Spencer for being here. Everybody, Radio Spencer in the chat, super fan, Radio Spencer. Thank you for being here, homie. Radio Spencer first followed me when I was at like 40 followers. And he was like, I bet this guy's really something. And yeah, so he found me really early on. And we've been buddies ever since. He's a cool dude. He does his own lives and stuff. His topics range from politics to God to I mean, even just like very specific like social things. Like he had a live recently about how he went into an all gender bathroom. He was like, "What's the big deal? Like, why does MAGA hate the all gender bathroom idea?" So he'll do all sorts of range of topics. So yeah, give Radio Spencer a follow. He's a cool guy. Fun fact: he used to be a talk show host for Fox News. And now he's very far from that. All right, we've got a guest. I think this is a friendly. Let's see. Hey, Davina DeVillain, you sent some support earlier. You're at least 18 though, right?
Oh, I definitely am, sir.
Okay, and are you an atheist or are you a theist?
I am a witch, and I do tend to adhere to, ironically, a lot of the pagan ideology.
Or 3 for 3, Ogar. I think that we're supposed to like do something for that, right? Isn't there like if you do 3 in a row, what is that bingo? That's 5 in a row. What's 3 in a row?
3.
We get a
Strike
point.
out.
No,
We're out. Oh, fuck. Now we have
one
to be
more.
pagan.
One more, and we win Connect 4.
I didn't have a I'm pagan change my mind prepared. I did not expect this shit to happen. Anyway, so did I pronounce your name right? Davina? Is that how you pronounce that?
Yes, Davina DeVillain.
Okay, great. So, what did you have for us? Because it sounds like you might not believe in God, but you might. What's your position on that?
Well, to answer the question, what is the best evidence for God? I can only go through personal experiences. I've never actually met one. But when I was 15, and this is
someone
a
snoring
horrible
next to you?
story to say, but I was pregnant. That's my dog, unfortunately. Is it that loud?
Or girl, I don't know.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Davina,
I was 15.
Davina, can I just
Yes.
cut in real quick? Sorry.
Certainly.
I know. I know that I seem like an asshole because I'm rude to the idiots.
I don't
but
think you're an asshole.
Well, I appreciate that. I just wanted to say, like, I don't mean to just interrupt you, but what I want to say is, well, I kind of do, I guess. That was a lie. But what I want to ask though is, like, I understand that you have a personal experience, and I understand how meaningful that is to you, and I understand that you draw some conclusions from it. My concern is every spiritual and religious practice that I'm aware of has people who have had experiences that they've interpreted as confirmation of that religious or spiritual practice. And so my concern is, if every single religious practice has that same evidence, and it's the same degree of reliable, because, obviously I believe you, I think that I can rely on you to accurately report your experiences, and I think that I can believe all those other people to accurately report their experiences as well. So if all of these people from all of these different, belief systems are telling me the same amount of evidence for contradictory conclusions, and I don't think that contradictions can be true, how do I determine which interpretation of a personal experience has led someone to a true belief and which ones have led people to false beliefs?
Well, that's an excellent question, isn't it? I
I think
guess the
so.
only way
I think I'm
to
really smart. So yes.
I think you're yeah, you're certainly not stupid. So we'll just to go back to answering the initial question is what is the best evidence of God? I think that the only way that you can really prove that is through a personal experiences, some kind of an intergalactic energy, possibly that presents itself to you in some kind of a
Well,
vibrational
Davina, so maybe
frequency.
that's
It's a
like that's
personal.
something that you could maybe if you had an experience, maybe it's enough for you, but it's not actually proof because you can't demonstrate it to somebody else.
You're not asking for proof. You're asking for evidence. That's evidence, is it
It's
not?
Well,
but
I don't think that
even
it is
so,
evidence to be.
it's evidence from
Then
your
give
own
me an
perspective.
example of what you.
Well,
Okay,
no,
so
no.
you
I
give
just
me, but you
well,
never
I
let
do
me
want to
finish my
address.
story, so you don't know if it's evidential or if it's just,
No,
my
no,
personal
because personal
experience.
experience can't be evidence, and I don't think that you should consider it evidence for you. Like I think Lobes is being really nice. Lobes is a much nicer person than I am, and I understand how there, some atheists, including Lobes, may have the perspective that yeah, personal experience is evidence for the person who had the experience, but maybe not for others. I wouldn't even go that far. I would say that it shouldn't be evidence for you either, and it certainly couldn't be evidence for anybody. Because, for example, I've had personal experiences in my life that I certainly could have, if I believed in a God when I had the experience, I certainly could have attributed it to a God. But again, like, why should I trust my interpretation of my personal experience more than I trust anyone else's interpretations of their personal experiences? So if I interpret one of my personal experiences to confirm the religion or the spiritual belief that I like, and I don't trust other people's interpretations of their personal experiences, then there's a contradiction in my view, because I would have to hold that it is reliable for when a person interprets their own personal experience and attributes it to a spiritual belief, but it's also not reliable when someone does that. And that would be a contradiction in my view. And as I said before, contradictions can't be true. So I know that it's not reliable, even for the person who had the experience. It can't be reliable evidence.
Yeah, but
Do you,
is there any
do you
reliable
have
evidence at all? I mean, is
Davina?
this a
Do you
trick
Not for
have
God, I
question?
don't think so, no.
Davina? Do you have anything that wouldn't involve a personal experience? Because like we're really just gonna get hung up on that, and I think it's fine that you had a personal experience, and I'm cool with you being a witch and stuff, but like it's just not it's not gonna really be meaningful to us, and that's what we're looking for.
Okay, so let me just reiterate how I'm going to say this. An evidence of God. Let's just say everything would be considered personal. Like if I'm working a certain kind of magic or something and I call on a specific God and it comes exactly the way I want it, did I do that with my higher self? How did that happen? How did I make certain things by manipulating energies the way that I do, using certain energies? And I don't worship any God, I just honor. But how did it happen?
Well, I don't
When
know.
I
I mean,
call
you
on a
would
specific
I
God and I
don't.
ask and
I
it
don't.
happens,
I don't know that it. I don't, from my perspective, I don't know that it happened. But assuming it happened the way you anticipate it to happen, that's great. I would love to see a demonstration sometime. If you have a video, I'll definitely watch a TikTok video if you have like a demonstration. But for sure, like I won't read that dude's
okay?
paper, right? But like I will watch a TikTok video. They can only be but so long. But yeah, like I think that when people do things like what you're talking about, involving spirits and all this stuff that Ogar and I just don't believe in, I think there's a lot of confirmation bias involved there. I think sometimes we'll expect one thing. Hey, thanks, artist daughter. I appreciate you for the snail. I think that there are times where you expect something and you get something that's similar and it's good enough, and you're like, well, this is kind of what I was looking for. And sometimes you'll get exactly what you're looking for, and oftentimes you'll get nothing. But you're like, maybe I just didn't do it right. I'll just keep trying. And I think that this is getting really close to like the Texas sharpshooter fallacy, if you're familiar with that.
Right. Yes, I am.
There's one other
Now,
thing. I'm
is
so
it?
sorry, Davina. I just want to say one other thing really quickly. I'm sorry. I understand. It's frustrating. I get it. The only other thing that I just wanted to say quickly is that this reminds me of all the people who think that they have like psychic powers and ability to predict things. When we take those people and we study them and we have them write down their predictions before when they make them to see if they actually do come true, it turns out that none of their predictions that they write down and document before the as a prediction, none of those ever come true, but they still somehow believe that they are able to make predictions even though they don't ever They don't ever actually do it when it's tested or documented. So what I would ask you is, if you think that this is real and you're actually having interactions with these spiritual things, what you need to do is you need to contact someone who researches this kind of thing, and you need to demonstrate it under test conditions. Because if you can,
And I have
then that would be
done that.
great evidence for something supernatural.
Yes, but I have done that. And I actually own a brick and mortar building that I am a psychic palm reader and
Yeah,
been
where's
tested.
Where's the scientific paper?
And again, you want a scientific? I don't know. You'd have to call the Universal Life Church and get that. But I'm not here to discuss that type of thing, if that's okay. And it would be rude of me to flip the question back to you. And what is your evidence that there isn't a God or some kind of higher power or some kind of source? Is that an acceptable question to flip back? Because if you can say one argument, then what is the opposite?
Well, the thing is that the default stance is to not hold a position whether or not there is anything divine. So any kind of positive claim that there is or isn't would require evidence. Even if we're saying there is no God, I think we're justified in saying that there's no God if the positive assertion cannot be demonstrated. Like, I sometimes will give the example of the sandwich existing on Pluto. I can confidently say that there's no sandwich on Pluto. That's obviously not true, but I can't prove it, right? I can give you a ton of reasons as to why there can't be one. But I can't absolutely prove it. For all I know, there could, for some reason that I don't understand, there could be a sandwich on Pluto. I'd have to go there and search every square inch of the planet to confirm that there's not a sandwich. But if somebody were to sit here and say there is a sandwich on Pluto and ask us to prove them wrong, we couldn't, but they would have the positive claim. They would have to demonstrate somehow that this thing does exist. And what people consistently... Yeah. When people consistently have this claim of God, they do have the burden of proof. And Ogar and I do have arguments for there not being a God. That's possible, logically speaking. And we could give you that if you'd like. But the burden of proof, regardless, is on the theist.
So is it safe to say then you're both considered nihilists then?
No, that has to do with the value that you place on stuff, or
Believes in nothing.
it's
No.
that's what the
A
word breaks
nihilist
down
believes
to.
in nothing, that life is meaningless.
That's yeah,
No,
like
I think-
it is, the word does like mean like nihil is nothing and ism is like a belief. So you could say that means the belief in nothing, but that's not exactly that's not really like the full thing about it. Nihilism, there's a lot of different levels of nihilism. You've got cosmic nihilism, you've got moral nihilism, you've got existential nihilism. There's all sorts of different branches.
Mereological nihilism.
Yeah, it's just like you don't think that you don't think that something matters, essentially, depending on the topic. If you say that you're a nihilist, I am kind of a nihilist. I'm an absurdist, and so I'm an absurdist as a response to nihilism. But that has nothing to do with whether or not there's a God. You can definitely be a nihilist and still believe in God. You know, I mean, even in the Bible, it's Saul, right? Where he writes in was it Ephesians? It's like all is vanity, vanity, all is vanity. And somebody correct me in the comments if I got that wrong. But he's like giving this really nihilistic passage about like there's nothing new under the sun, it's all vanity, and he believes in God, and he believes in what Christians say is the true God. And I know that you're not a Christian, you're a witch, but yeah, I mean, that's not what we're saying. We're not necessarily nihilists because of our being unconvinced of God.
Now, is it also safe to say then that everything that we can see, touch, feel, the earth, the mountains, the moon, earth, fire, wind, all that stuff, how did it begin then? And I'm not here to compete or argue. I'm just curious how did it all happen? Because it's a learning curve for everybody that is questioning these things. How did it all come to be? If there isn't some kind of an existential force that started this, I mean,
Right.
nothing creates nothing, right? So
Yeah, but if nothing creates nothing, then if we started with nothing, there would be nothing. So I think there had to have been
how did it
always
start?
something. I don't think there is a
Yeah,
start,
it didn't start.
personally. Yeah, if nothing begets nothing 100% of the time, then there had to have always been something.
You get
That just
nothing.
logically follows.
Yeah, so there would be no start.
So
But also, if you just want to know like how certain things came into existence, like you could easily, really, really easily just like, you know, research a little bit. Like if you want to know how the Earth came into existence, well, you can just research how stars form and accretion disks work and how they create solar systems. We know really well how that happens. If you want to know how life came
yes,
about, well, we actually know a ton about how that works. And you know what abiogenesis probably looked like. If you want to know where the mountains came from, well, you can study a little bit of geology, some plate tectonics, and you'll have a really solid understanding of where they come
yes,
from.
but
If you
Bogar,
want to understand the air, then all you have
how
to
did
do
it?
is just look into like pressure differentials and stuff, and you'll understand why air moves. Or if you want to understand the wind, you look into pressure differentials and you understand why air moves from one pressure system to another. Like these things are all like we have explanations for all these things, and we know exactly the natural processes that are responsible for them. And then in terms of just like the universe coming into existence, as Lobes pointed out, if we all agree that nothing comes from nothing and that something can't come from nothing, and we have something, then obviously there was never nothing, so we don't have to worry about how something came from nothing because it never would have happened.
Wow.
It was Solomon. My bad. I get them mixed up
So
sometimes. It was an S name. Thank you, Skyhawk. It was an S name I was reaching for. It was Solomon. Thank you.
Solomon, yes. Okay, we're not gonna again. Not trying to argue. It's a simple fact that we know how the Earth came into being, the stars. We know, but what started the whole thing?
Right.
Something
We're saying that it never
of a
started, so you don't have to asking a question like what started something that never started. Like that's a nonsense
Right.
question.
It's like
that
saying
question doesn't
what's.
mean anything.
It's like saying
doesn't
what's
it?
the. It's like asking what is the lowest number. There isn't one. There's an infinite series
it's
of
what
negative
Well,
numbers.
the
well,
lowest.
it's a question with a faulty assumption inside of it. It's like if I asked you, Davina, if I asked you, like, when are you going to stop torturing animals? Well, obviously that just assumes that you torture animals, and obviously you don't. I would assume you don't. And so
Oh
asking
my
a
God,
question
no.
like, yeah, right. So asking a question like that is a problem because like there is no genuine meaningful answer to that question because there's a false assumption in the question.
Hmm.
Similarly, if we say what started the universe, but we don't have any reason to believe that the universe started, and in fact we have good reason to believe that the universe never started, well then that question is exactly the same as asking when you're going to stop torturing animals. There's no answer because the question isn't meaningful.
Point well made. No, you said that very well.
Yeah,
You're exactly right. I never really
like that
considered it
example.
that way. Yeah, that was
It's
I had
better
a
than
lot
my
worse
assuming,
negative
like
examples
you
in my
said.
head, so I tried to go to something that wasn't too bad.
It was. Yeah. Oh
No, but I
yeah.
like the way you said the false assumption within the statement because it's a false assumption. Just assume that that it all started from something. How do we don't have evidential fact for any of that. So
Yeah, typically when people try to say that the universe had a beginning, they want to point to the Big Bang. But the problem is the Big Bang is just about the expansion. It has nothing to do with whether the universe had a beginning. So then people will try to say, well, the past couldn't be infinite. And then they point to the concept of infinity being unintuitive. But just because something's unintuitive doesn't mean it isn't true or it doesn't exist. So like, I just don't think that there are any arguments that give good reason. There's no evidence or argument that I know of that gives us a good reason to think the universe started. And as Lobes was pointing out, I think that there are good arguments that give us reason to think that the universe never started. So I think that until we have some kind of conclusive evidence that the universe did have a beginning, like until then, I don't see why we would concern ourselves with what began the universe, because it's like if there was a infinite series of dominoes where there's no first domino and they've just been falling forever, you can't ask who pushed over the first domino because we've defined it to not have a first domino.
Right. I love the domino example too. And that
Yeah.
one,
Yes.
people don't get it. It's like, well, what started it? They just keep repeating what started it. There is not one.
well, you would assume with our finite human minds that there had to be a catalyst. Something had to push that first domino. So
That's based on our
what
priors.
Ogar's making is that there wasn't necessarily anything that pushed the first
Yeah,
domino or the
and
beginning
it's
of
like
everything.
Davina. I agree. Like it's very like intuitive to just imagine there had to have been a first one because based on our priors, we see beginnings in everything around us. Everything that we can look at on our level has some kind of beginning. But once we start thinking about existence itself or time itself, we can't really posit a beginning. Any beginning would be like irrational. It would be something that happens literally for no reason. It would be it would be an effect with no cause, and effects always have a cause.
You know, I am the believer that if we were to know all that there is to know, our brains would literally liquefy.
Yeah, I don't think that we can like. There's a certain like a bit value that we've got that we can't store all the information. Davina, I really enjoy this conversation. I do want to get to somebody who's
Well, I appreciate you guys.
believing in God and stuff, but I
Yes,
appreciate you coming
absolutely.
up and thank you for the support. This was really fun. It was really insightful, and
Yes, thank you
I hope
both
that you
very
got
much.
something
I
out of it.
enjoyed this.
Yeah, you have a good one. Let's bring up the next guest. Somebody requesting. Hey Dave, is that L?
Yeah,
I like it. Are you at least 18?
yeah.
Okay, what God do you believe in?
Christian God.
Okay, Dave, what's your best evidence for God?
Well,
Riveting.
2,000
and
years
probably,
later.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
and
Go
then I
ahead, man.
would say that my other evidence is that,
Oh, I get it.
and that's why I believe.
You know, I agree with you, Dave. That I do think that you've done a really good job of stating the exhaustive list of the evidence. Like, I've honestly never heard anybody give such a complete case.
Do I need to change the prompt again? In fact,
Uh-oh.
do I need to? Dave, you might be the best Christian we've had up here, and for that, you know, I credit where credit is due. I've got to change my, you know, I'm a man of my word, right? I'm intellectually honest. Where I'm wrong, and I've changed my mind on this and flip-flopped, and here we go again with this. So, thanks for that, Dave. I really appreciate you bringing me back to the light. I looked at the trees and
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure you want to move on to people who actually want to debate. But I will say that despite having no like evidence, like, oh, I can point to this scientific fact here, I will say that people, from my personal experience, people do definitely benefit. And I think that people need to believe in something bigger than them to exist in the world that we live in now. But that's not proof of anything. And while I can say that maybe somebody, especially, you know, some more than others, can benefit from seeking a higher power, maybe it's Christian God, maybe it's some other God, maybe it's not a God at all, but a different type of higher power. I do think people can genuinely benefit from that, but I couldn't really say any kind of evidence.
yeah, there's definitely a benefit to be had in some cases. I agree. Well, thanks, Dave, otherwise known as L. I'm sorry your like identity got like given away on TikTok Live, but thanks for coming up. That was really fun. Hey, Skyhawk, how you been?
I've never been better, thanks. And I want to apologize in advance because I know you think I'm here to talk about torturing trees, but I just wanted to mention that my middle name is Dave, and I'm so excited right now about Dave bringing us all back around. But that's all I have to say.
That's crazy that you say that too, because my brother's name is David, and my
What are
late
the,
great uncle. It's true.
my dad's? What are the odds of that?
And there's a guy
I
in
have
the
an uncle
Bible
named
who did a
David,
lot of
so
fucked up shit whose name is David.
Well, he was a man after God's own heart, and he did a lot of fucked up shit. Is right.
There's a
Anyways,
manager
I'm
I
not going
have
to
at my
bore you
work
with
whose name is
fucking.
Dave. Go ahead.
What? Wait, what?
Yeah, one of my managers, his name is Dave. I think
You
David's just a
you're kidding
common
me.
name. It's kind of lost the magic.
Oh, that's true. I'm sorry. I do have an uncle named Dave too, but I'm gonna shut the fuck up and get off of here because I'm not adding to anything. But my middle name is fucking Dave,
All
and
right,
I'm so
fucking
My
glad.
Uncle Dave could beat up
I,
your Uncle Dave.
I've never been. I'm sure because he's old and sick. So yeah, whatever. That's your flex. I'm just joking. All right, have a good night.
Yeah, good night, Dave. I don't know his first name, but I'm one step closer to being able to like say his full name on stream. So you better watch out, Skyhawk Dave Smith. I don't know.
Oh, gross. Eric is objectively the worst of all names.
Eric David Smith. Confirmed. Dave is his first name. He said that his first name is his middle name is Dave. David.
Yeah. Eric, I just want everybody to know that Eric is objectively, as someone saddled with that name, it's the worst.
Your name's Eric?
Yeah.
Well,
That's why I go by Ogar, because that name sucks.
I love learning lore about people. Like when you found out my name was Rob.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
actually forgot that. If you had asked me right now what your name was, I probably would have just said Lobes.
Yeah, it makes the nips hard enough to slice through your shirt, you know. So like Eric Ogar, how did you pick Ogar?
Back in like, it would have been like 2006 when I was like making a MySpace page for my music stuff. I was like, I don't want to put my real name on there. I want something that sounds cool, way cooler than Eric.
It does sound cool.
And so then I just
sounds
made up
strong.
Ogar.
And what's with the raven
Yeah.
or the crow?
Okay, so crows are really cool and super, super smart. And so a few years ago, when I was really getting heavily into card magic, I decided, I want to design my own design for a deck of cards. And so I paid this artist to design an entire deck of cards for me. And what I had him do was make the aces all based on like birds that I really liked, and the back was the crow.
So you had like the
and then I
penguin and
never
the
did anything with
ostrich.
all those designs that I paid hundreds of dollars for. So I was like, fuck it, I'm using it as my profile picture.
Oh, awesome. That's badass. Yeah, that does look like it would be good for a card. It's great that
Oh,
you
we
do card
lost
magic too.
Lobes.
What?
Yeah, I love magic.
Lost Lobes.
Magic is awesome.
Am I here?
But yeah, the back design of the cards that I had designed has got the crow on it.
Can you hear me?
Well, I don't hear Lobes. Lobes disappeared. I don't know, like if his internet shut down or having computer problems or something.
Oh, you're trolling me. Are you sure that Eric is the
you
worst
can hear
name?
him? What the fuck? Maybe it's me?
Yeah, oh my god.
Do I need to
So,
drop and come back?
Did you 7. What number did I just say, Ogar?
7.
Okay. Okay. You're gaslighting me. Anyway, are you sure Eric is the worst name?
I had to go out and come back.
Oh, okay. Are you sure that Eric is the worst name when Erica exists? And not just Erica. I mean Erica spelled like this. I put it in the chat.
Oh, that's brutal.
I've seen that in
no,
real life.
I still think Eric is the worst.
Erica's the worst?
No, Eric. I still think Eric is the worst name. I think I have the worst name and the worst possible birthday.
I feel like
I'm pretty sure that my birthday is the
Is it Christmas? Or February 29th?
no. You were close at first.
Well, anyway.
But I think it's literally the worst.
I feel like
it's literally the worst possible day of the year to have a birthday.
I know some Erics and all of them are really skinny, so it's really hard to imagine you being Eric. You're more like a Don.
Yeah.
Or like a
big fat Eric, yeah.
Eric Plus Premium Subscription Edition. Christmas
Yeah,
Eve.
I grew up with 2 other Erics in my class, and they were both skinny, so I get it.
It's like I think they just know, like, this is a small one. We're going to name him Wumbo, but now we're going to name him Eric. And then with you guys, with your parents, it was like we don't really give a shit. We already picked Eric. I don't know if you were a big baby.
My
but-
parents both. Oh, I was a huge baby. My parents both hated the names that the other wanted, and so they fought about it for a long time. And Eric was the first name that didn't make them want to continue fighting, so they just called me that.
So it was like the what it's like the lesser evil. It's like I don't really like Eric. I don't like Eric either. I really like Constantine or Bartholomew or Gwendolyn, but you know what? Eric, it's fine, I guess. We'll just name the fucker Eric, and that's your name.
Yeah.
Isn't that only for skinny kids? Fuck it. We I don't want to rehash this argument a 10th time. Sorry about all the fat jokes at once. That was like a lot at once. I try to space them out because I don't feel like I'm attacking or anything like that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm just now learning that I'm fat, and it's a lot to deal with. It's a lot to process.
Yeah. Guys, we're still waiting for somebody to. I guess I should change the prompt back. This is probably confusing for people. This is like I'm confused. I forgot I even had this up like this. Boom. Wait. You wanted to do. Wait, hang on. You wanted to do this one, right?
Oh my god, dude.
That was terrible.
I genuinely think that was like
your worst night ever.
It's the reason why, like, I see Ian and some others doing like there's nothing wrong with being gay as a debate topic. I could never do that for the same reason I don't ever want to debate the Trinity again, because the arguments for it are so brain dead.
I was opened up to a whole new world when I started watching his lives about that, because I'm like, these are the things that people say, and not because it's so stupid, because I was like, I never thought that I would have to have like an argument for this. I guess maybe I'm like sheltered by wonderful people who, or just normal people who aren't like inherently hateful. Dave, what do you want this time, bro?
So, hoping I can push against that, actually. So, I'd like to argue that God is just. So, I'm guessing you mean the Christian God. So, sure, let's go for it. I'll argue that God is just.
Okay. So you were talking about the Christian God? I think you're Ruse before that you're a Christian believer. So why do?
So well, okay. I can explain that, but it'd be a waste of time. So I will argue that God is just, though.
Okay.
I can't argue that I have evidence for God, but I will argue that God is just.
Wait, hang on, real quick. I just want to clarify and like be real. Are you actually a Christian?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool. Well, that's kind of cool. So, all right. So, do you think it's just to have an innocent person brutally killed so that somebody who's guilty can get off without punishment?
So I think when we're describing just things happening, I think an action is required somewhere along the line.
Dave,
so
real quick, Dave, I like you, Dave,
action-
but I do need a yes or a no for that question.
I'm getting to that. No, the action of doing that is not
Dave,
just. So what
okay.
I'm saying is, when somebody is committing that action, that is not a just action.
Okay, when somebody,
that's not a just action.
when somebody, because of someone else's crime, decides to kill an innocent person so that the person who committed the crime gets off scot-free, that's unjust. You
Right.
said, okay, so this is the gospel.
So I'd say that if you had like a city, right, and you could either add a button to nuke this city, or maybe you had a magical button, right? Maybe you have God powers and you have a magical button that could stop this city from ever even existing. And that thing that you just described would happen in this city if you let this city exist, or you could just press the magical God button that prevents this city from existing, which is the most just thing to do.
Wait, so you said
I
there's a
don't think that that's an analogous situation, though.
Is that not the situation you're describing?
No, it's not analogous to God because God is
Oh,
all
okay.
powerful,
Let's
all knowing,
restart.
and all supposedly all good.
Well, that is
So if
subjective.
you're
I
saying
think.
if you're saying that God has limitations on what things he can accomplish and what methods are available to him to accomplish his goals, then you're
Yes,
saying
I
that
am
the
saying
Bible.
that. I'm saying that within the confines of free will, yes.
Okay, well, real
No,
quick,
God doesn't. Well, first,
this could potentially change the topic to free will. So, I every time I try to grant free will, I end up like contradicting myself later because it's such a difficult thing to actually prove exists. It's like so obviously untrue from my perspective. So I constantly am like presenting scenarios where free will is obviously not the case, and people call me out on it. I'm like, this is just how it is. So we can try. I can try to grant it if you want. If you don't want the topic to change to free will.
Sure, give me 5 minutes, and if you find yourself in that same loop, then we can just move on.
Okay. So God values free will. Okay. So God values free will. Is this the reason why God does not intervene when somebody else is being brutalized?
Right. If it's by the consequence of him granting people free will, then that is a consequence of that
Okay.
free will
I have a
being
follow-up question. Do you
granted.
think that do you think that it is good to prioritize somebody else's free will over the well-being of an innocent person?
Again, I think that kind of brings us back to the magical mayor who can press a button to make a city never exist. He can build all the perfect cities he wants whenever he wants. The question is how. It's like, okay, if I build this city with free will, by never letting this city exist, is that just? And by letting the city exist, is that just? What's
I think
just?
we're missing the point here, though. So let's say that you live you only have one neighbor. You're kind of out in the country, and you just have one neighbor whose house is kind of close to yours. You see that they are bringing people tied up to their house. You're carrying them. You see them carrying them tied up from their car into the house. You hear the people screaming. You hear all kinds of horrible things happening inside the house. Then you see your neighbor come out with dismembered body parts and then leave and then come back with another person. So you know what's going on there. Would it be violating that person's free will to call the cops?
No.
Okay, fantastic. So would it be violating that person's free will if God alerted the cops?
I don't know. That's tricky.
If you say that it's different for God, then you're just saying that
yes.
you don't care about logic.
I think technically yes. If I think that's tough. That's tough.
It's not tough, Dave. It's not tough. If it's not a violation of that person's free will for me to call the cops or for you to call the cops, then there's no possible way that it could be a violation of their free will for God to alert the cops.
It also is like I think I should call in too. I want to put a spotlight. Dave, real quick. I just want to put a spotlight on the priorities here, because being just does not have anything to do with always respecting someone's free will. In a justice system where someone's on trial, they're going to get a sentence because they did a bad thing or they didn't. If they're guilty of the bad thing, what do? We take away their free will. We lock them up, or we inject them with something or whatever. We do something to them, and their free will has been taken away. Like they can't leave the confinement. And if they do, we're going to track them down and put them back in. Right? So if you were to take it upon yourself to be like a vigilante in Ogar's example and stop the guy, you tackle him and you pin him down and you like do citizen's arrest or something.
I get what you're saying.
Like you are definitely stopping them from having their free will. You are putting your will over theirs. But that's
I
like
disagree with that
that's a
part.
good thing because you were
I disagree with
stopping them
that part.
from
I'd say
exercising their
that
free will to continue to do the unspeakable acts within their home.
I don't quite agree with that. I would say that if there are two people in a room with free will and one person proceeds to like dominate what happens next in that room, that doesn't necessarily mean that, well,
For free will to be free will, the will has to be
if
uninhibited.
we say free will is just the ability to control what you do in the present moment, if that is free will as we define it, because we maybe just have to define that term a little bit better. If free will is just being able to decide what you do in the moment without somebody else magically controlling you, everything you do with puppet strings, then
Okay.
I would
So,
not be able.
real quick.
I don't think I can say that
So you
two
don't
people
think
in a room.
you don't
one
think that
having,
you don't think then that it would be violating his free will for you to stop him yourself? Real quick before I continue.
I think that it is a little bit. I don't know if I maybe have the vocabulary to describe what I'm describing, but I
Well,
think there's a
yes or
difference
no, then
between.
explain.
Repeat the question, because
Because it seems like you're saying
was
that
getting to it.
if you were to stop the person yourself as a vigilante, you're saying it would not inhibit their free will if you were to stop them yourself. Is that what you're saying?
Not in any kind of supernatural way. No, not at all. I think that you have.
supernatural or
Okay, let me
otherwise.
put it this way. Can I just put you through a scenario? Okay, let me just proceed. Continue this scenario that he played out. Okay, I see this happening. I call the cops. I have the free will to call the cops. He sees that I call the cops. He has the free will to create a hostage situation. The cops then have the free will to decide if they use force or diplomacy. That guy then has free will to. You see what I'm saying? Where this,
yeah, but
this
Dave,
kind of
my
logic
question
is
is,
going.
if you overpower him and lock him down so he can't move, and you're holding him there until the cops get there, are you infringing on his free will?
No, because he then has the free will to decide between, oh, do I struggle or not? He still has free will.
No, like
in that situation.
he can still
There's a
struggle, but
difference
he can't
between-
break out. Like
there's a
whether he
difference
struggles or not,
between-
Dave. Whether he struggles or not, you're just overpowering him. Like you're a beefcake in this scenario, and he's like a scrawny
Not in
guy.
any kind of supernatural kind of way. He can still make any action that he wants in that moment.
I don't think that
He has free
distinction
will
is
to make
relevant.
any
Like if you, I mean,
attempt of an
if you,
action.
well, let's. I
No,
mean,
it's
we
very
can
relevant. It's very
invoke-
relevant.
Well, so
Free
like,
will is never argued in a court of law. In situations where some person overpowers another person, people don't argue, oh, you've took away this
well,
person's
then let's
free
say
will.
your
No, you
strength
took
is
away their autonomy.
supernatural. You have
There's a difference
supernatural
between-
strength. You have
There's a difference
supernatural
between
strength.
free will and autonomy.
So
Okay, well, if you assume a supernatural strength, then yes, I would say that takes away free will. Where I separate things is, okay, you're back to your question earlier, is you were asking that if God can, if God can call the cops, then is it he taking away free will by taking away the cops? I would actually say no, he's not taking away free will to take away, if he's doing something that any other person could do, like calling the cops. Anybody can call the cops, but if he suddenly just smited this person, then that
we
would
need to
take away
really
that
highlight
person's
this.
free will.
We need to really highlight what you just said, because your defense for why God does things that seem unjust, you said that it was okay for God to do things that seem unjust because it's a protection of people's free will. Number one, that doesn't make any sense. There's no reason why we should value free will over, a perpetrator's free will over the victim's well-being. So that is not an example of like a reasonable justification not to be just. And then secondly, what you're saying is that God actually does have options to be more just, to do things that are more just, to be a better agent and to be more moral than he is, and he chooses not to take those actions. So what you're saying is that God is less just than he could be and less moral than he could be, which means that the argument that God is not just, you implicitly just agreed to.
By not calling the cops every single time somebody commits a crime.
Correct. By not stopping not doing anything, whatever you're whatever would be within the bounds of what you're calling.
But
free
that
will.
would be supernatural if can you call the cops on every single crime ever committed?
That's what
God
I was
have
just trying to
the-
say, and you interrupted me, Dave.
Does God have the
What I was
power?
just trying to say.
Go ahead, Ogar.
Well, what I was trying to say is that whatever actions God could take, that like, as I think that the way you're defining free will right now, Dave, doesn't make any sense. I don't understand this whole supernatural thing. But even if I grant that and say, fine, like that would somehow make it different, then it would still be the case that there are a ton of instances where God could intervene and doesn't, like with, whatever by this weird definition you're using. There are still lots of instances where God could intervene without violating whatever thing you're pointing to, and he doesn't. So those are examples of God being more just, able to be more just than he is, and more moral than he is. So obviously, if God is less just than he could be, then we would say that, like, we would have to then weigh up like all of these examples of injustice that God has committed by not doing the things that he could have done to protect people. And I would say that, yeah, those things are going to add up to show that God is unjust. Like if you have if you're in court for a crime, and or like your brother's in court for a crime, and the judge says, well, I'm actually going to let Dave's brother go, but Dave is the one that's going to have to go to prison now because I don't, there's something about Dave I don't like. Well, obviously that we would say that is an unjust judge, even just for that one instance of doing that. But we have billions and billions of instances of God able to step in and able to help people and able to, make life more fair for more people. And he chooses not to do it. I can't imagine a better example of someone being unjust.
Can you describe a single instance where anybody has taken away another person's free will?
I don't think by your
That's not
definition.
relevant.
I don't think by your definition.
You're making the argument that like, free will is like just like being able to.
No, I'm not making an argument about what free will is, Dave. I'm granting whatever you're calling free will, and I'm saying that even under the definition that you're using from the things that you've agreed to, God could be more just and more moral than he is. So obviously
he can't call the cops on everyone.
I didn't say that he had to. I already agreed to that. I don't know why you just refuse to engage with what I'm actually saying.
What does he have to do to be a just God?
He has to do everything that he possibly can to make things fair for people.
Like
every single thing that he possibly could do to make things as fair as possible, he would have to do. And if he doesn't, he is not just.
Can you give an example, though, is what I'm asking?
Any of those situations where he could have helped people without it being this weird supernatural thing that you're talking about. Any of the times that he could have notified the cops. Any of the times that he could have,
and that's why it does come
any
back
of the
to
times that he could have, any of the times that he could have softened someone's heart in order to, like, because he obviously does that. Like, I don't know. This whole argument doesn't make any sense, and you're just like completely refusing to engage.
We could just use the source material.
No,
there are times in the Bible where he subverts people's free will. Like God will intervene. God will intervene in the Bible on numerous occasions where he takes away people's free will by doing supernatural things for like justice, in quotes. Like there's the time with the plagues in Egypt where he was hardening Pharaoh's heart so that he would not let the people go, so that he could flex. Oh, Ogar says, I gotta go. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. Well, everybody, make sure you click on that comment that he said and give Ogar a follow. He goes live Sunday through Thursday. He's very consistent, and he's a really badass. So make sure you give Ogar a follow.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
So, do you want to pick up where he left off saying, I don't really have a relevant point to make, saying that, if he's can do these little things, why wouldn't he do it as much as possible? And my argument against that was just kind of like, okay, what is a specific example? And he kind of pointed back to a less supernatural thing, like calling the cops. And I said, okay, well then should he call the cops on everyone? And then at that point, that would be a supernatural response. And then you made the argument that he's made supernatural responses in the Bible, which I think that does call that point into question. So let me think about that, because that is a good point. This stance.
Dave, you are one of the most honest Christians I've ever spoken to. I will say that. When you first came up, I thought you were an atheist agreeing with us because of just how honest you were about not having evidence. So I'm enjoying our conversation. I understand Ogre's frustration, and he honestly is usually kind of an atomic bomb when he blows up on people. I think he was holding back because you're so cool. So I want to give you that.
I
But yeah,
appreciate that.
think
I
about it,
appreciate
and
that.
yeah, you take some seconds to think about it.
Okay, so the argument was if he did these things in the Bible, then
That's one example, by
so
the way.
why
There's
would
several.
he do these things in the Bible if he wanted man to have free will? I suppose that there's maybe an argument to be made that a certain amount, that the argument that I made that he is not able to, maybe not necessarily not able to go outside of like what another person can do is maybe not like,
I'm not
sorry,
following what
let me
you're saying.
rephrase that. The reason maybe God commits miracles now, doesn't commit miracles. Sorry, you're testing me. You're testing me. Maybe perhaps the reason why God has committed miracles but does not always commit miracles is because he does want to provide a good path for people to follow, does want to have at least a little bit of impact on the world, not so, maybe a lot more than a human being ever could.
So I mean, a
But
little bit of
maybe
impact.
not as
I
much
don't know that it
as
was.
like, oh, I'm going to control. Maybe I'll change my argument from like, oh, he's gonna have free will has to exist, but free will as to exist maybe up to like 10%. It's a really arbitrary number. 10% of the like what happens is not free will. Humans have been had their free will taken away from them 10% of the time, and then 90% of the time he lets things happen as they happen without any kind of interjection at all. I'd still argue
It
that
seems
that
like
kind
God
of
doesn't
scenario,
really.
God
It seems like
is
God is kind of
providing
feeling.
humans
It feels like God is being kind of arbitrary about
the
it,
opportunity
because
for free will.
there are other times. There are other times like with the global flood. I don't know if you hold to that or not, but in the Bible, the narrative is that he wiped out every living thing on the planet because he was disgusted with humanity. So, and this would include, babies that had nothing to do with it. And maybe you could say that they would grow up to be a certain way, but that's not even really giving them a chance. I think the whole point is to give them a chance. I think that's the reason why we don't just start in heaven. That's like it's a test or some shit.
Sure.
And there's also
Sure, but
animals
that's the
involved, like
10%, right?
puppies and kittens and stuff that were killed that had nothing to do with it. So anytime that there is a life lost when it didn't need to be lost because of the transgression of somebody else, like if your punishment for someone's transgression involves the killing of someone who had nothing to do with it, that is being unjust, especially if you have all power to surgically make sure that only the people who were guilty of the crime actually pay for the crime.
And I have a response for this, but it might not be the best response for my argument. And this is where we'll go back to maybe me being a little bit too honest to be on this panel right now. But I have a response, but it sort of strays heavily away from the original argument that I wanted to fight against, which is that God is a just God. And the reason why I am maybe more honest or different than your other people up here is that I'm a skeptical. I'm a very strong skeptic. But fill in the blank of all my personal reasons for, still feeling the way that I do. I'd say that I'll go ahead and make the argument while also admitting that this does stray away from any kind of idea of a just God, because now I replace this idea with a consequentialist God who looks at a world that maybe it was that bad, and the action that he took resulted in an ends justify the means kind of situation. Okay, if I kill all these innocents, then more innocents will have a better life in the future.
Do you
And
think
maybe
that
the
like
entire world would have been extinguished
Dave,
and gone
do you
extinct.
think that
So
like
that's why I'm saying that this goes away from this being
Dave,
a just argument.
first of all, like so what you're doing now is speculation, and I don't think that you need to speculate about what God's motivation was for like a greater good. If you hold that God is all powerful, then God can intervene in a way that only affects the people involved in the transgression without involving the innocents, and still have everything work out okay. If you don't think that he could do that, then you don't hold that he's all powerful.
I would say that it was more like hitting a reset button, and the subject to respond to the speculation part. I see why you would make the argument, but I'm just referring to what's written in the Bible as far as why God did this. I'm not just speculating that he did it to stop evil, like consuming the world. That's not speculation. That's what his reason was that he provided. And to respond to the other thing that you said about him being all powerful, I would say that that's a pretty big jump from like, oh, I'm going to do as little as possible to like gently nudge humanity in a good direction versus like, I'm going to now eradicate 99% of the world, because 99% of the world would have led to extinction. So I would say that maybe still has room for like a omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent God that wants humans to have free will and be able to create a good world on their own without God like nuking all the bad people every once in a while. Does that make sense?
I think that I don't think that it really works out very strongly, because if we can imagine a result that God could get that would be better than the one we have, then that's a thing that God could have done. As long as it's logically possible, God would determine what's like nomologically possible. At least I think
Not
that's the
everything
common
that's
view.
logically possible for God is going to respect free will, though. And maybe this is where we just kind of reach a point where we
Well, God
agree to
doesn't really
disagree.
ultimately care about free will. Sometimes he'll take away the free will by doing supernatural
A
things
little
to
bit
stop
of the
people from
time, I
doing
will
things.
admit to that. A little bit of the
Yeah,
time,
but
but I
like the
feel like
thing
if
is,
it's
that means it's
more
not
a
the
little bit of the
highest.
time
It
than
means it's
all of
not
the
the
time.
highest good. It's not the highest good then to him. He wants to stop evil, and he's okay with taking away free will. Sometimes free will is on the back burner. Sometimes he's okay.
Well, the
Sometimes he's
highest
like,
good would be to let nobody have free will ever.
I don't think so. I think that you
Because
could
we're
have.
just
I
gonna
think
be
that
bad
God could just God could allow us to do bad and take away everybody's desire to cause gratuitous harm, like the really terrible things.
That's
So there's
probably the biggest infraction against free will is to take away some base desire.
no, I don't agree. Well, what if God took away your desire to fuck kids?
That would be taking away a base desire and thus removing free will. I think it'd be a great
So
decision for God to
Dave,
do
like
that, but
the
it'd still be
the point of my
taking away a
question,
person's free
the
will.
point of my question was for you to say, "What do you mean? I don't want to fuck kids." Like that's the response you're supposed to say. Like that's like because I don't actually think that you want to fuck kids.
Well, I don't see a reason to get defensive about it because I don't.
Right, but that's
I'm just responding to
the
the
point.
logical part of your
The
argument.
point is like
I don't want to get
some
defensive over something
some
for no
people
reason.
are created by God, allegedly. Some people are created by God without the desire to fuck kids. He was like, I'm gonna create this person who has these priors, and they're gonna like want this. They're gonna have an instinct to be like attracted to this person or that person. This person, I'm gonna create them with the desire to fuck kids. Like that's just a thing that they're gonna have to struggle with. But he doesn't have to give people that desire. right? Like that, because people can't control who they're attracted to, unfortunately, for the PDFs. I think that's terrible, but they don't control that. And usually it's a result of trauma. But that's a certain thing that God could just like take that away. Like he could. It's an
Well, why
illness that
would he
people
stop
have.
there? Why
I'm
would he
saying
stop
I'm
there? I
saying
don't
is
think
that
he gave that to those people.
it could be well, the
I
reason
don't.
is
Do you have
like
an
if he's trying
argument?
to respect free will, he can give us the free will to choose between competing goods. I mean, if I were to ask you, you have the free will to walk between either door A or door B. Door A leads to a rainbow and door B leads to butterflies. I mean, do you have free will, or does somebody need to
Well, why
like
stop
be
there?
does
Now
there
we're
need to
just
be
going back
does there need to
to.
be an option C where there's like death or something, or like a fist fight? I mean, there doesn't need to be something that's gratuitously harmful in order for us to have these decisions that we can make and exercise free will. Have you ever heard Mezzo's Bluey example?
Go ahead. I haven't.
So, Mezzo is another creator on here. He's got this really good example about like the gratuitous suffering thing. You're familiar with the kids' cartoon Bluey?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in Bluey, they go through hardship and they have like disagreements, and sometimes they'll be like they'll be mean to each other and stuff, but it's a kids show, you know. So there's one episode where the dad goes on like a business trip and he's away from his daughters Bluey and Bingo, and they miss him, and they're really sad. Eventually he was reunited with them, and they're better for have gone through the strife of being apart, and it's really emotional and it's touching, and it was a bad thing but it led to a good thing. But there isn't an episode where Bluey's like dodging bullets in school, or where like the mom gets leukemia, or like Bluey gets leukemia. These things they're not necessary for the characters to have like free will in universe. There's still problems, there's still strife, there's still anguish to a certain extent, but there's no gratuitous suffering. There's not like ever any person who's out to like kill the family. There's never a situation where an earthquake devastates their whole town. These are things that don't need to exist in order for a universe that supposedly has free will to exist.
All right. Well, what about scarcity? Is God going to give people infinite resources? Because people commit evil acts out of scarcity. I guess while your example is very extreme and emotional, I'm going to maybe not directly address that in favor of trying to like argue. I mean, I'm still addressing it though. So if you have scarcity, how do you reason that where if you sure, like if you can just give everybody everything they want, they wouldn't do bad things. But if you introduce a area of scarcity, then like, are you arguing maybe that God should have never introduced scarcity in the first place? If he created the world with scarcity.
I wasn't really arguing that. I was arguing something different.
Well, I mean,
but
people
we can
do
talk about
other
that.
bad things that are really bad. And I guess my argument where I could maybe I'm skipped something along the way. Where the thing I skipped maybe is that, okay, why stop there? Why not remove all the other bad things that people do too? And I think you kind of made that example. It's like, why wouldn't he just provide people good and less good options rather than
Suppose he
bad
did
and
stop
evil?
there, because he
Good
stopped
and
at a
evil.
certain point. Like I think the suffering in the world could be 10 times as bad as it is now. Like it could be. And God was like, we're not going to make it 10 times as bad as it is now. We're going to make it exactly this way. He could have allowed for so much more suffering, but he, for whatever reason, thought that this was the appropriate amount to allow. So
Well, I don't think there's
why
any
stop
one
there?
thing that he decided I'm going to take people's free will away on this one specific thing. Sure, he interjected for miracles and some oh, I'm gonna open the earth and kill all your enemies, stuff like that. It's definitely happened. Like, he's taken away free will in specific, limited, temporary instances, but I don't think he's stopped any one single evil act from occurring ever again. Right?
Yeah, well, so let me think
So
about this.
he
So
really hasn't limited
there's
free
I don't
will.
well I think
And he
that
would
you
be
should
if he
though.
took that
I think that
away.
you should be so because I think in every instance, if you have the power to stop someone who's going to do something gratuitously harmful, you're obligated to do so if you're going to be good without getting into what good is, right? I think that we should just assume that we are on the same page with that.
Yeah, yeah,
Consider concert.
agreed.
So thank you for doing that, by the way, because this is where that's another place where a lot of times it just changes the subject with Christians. But if you have the ability to stop somebody from doing something heinously evil, you should. That's something that you should do. If you decide not to, it's
It
like,
kind of just
can you
goes.
imagine this? Here's another example. There's like a puppy that's like in a swimming pool and you've got the net to fish that's like designed to fish the leaves out, but you watch the puppy struggle for a few minutes until it drowns. I would say that you're immoral for having not intervened and saved the puppy when you could have. Like, it's well within your power. You watched it waltz in there, you could have stopped it from waltzing in. It waltzed in there and it was trying to swim and you're like, well, it's free will. I could save the puppy, but I respect the puppy's free will to drown or something. Like, I mean, I don't see how prioritizing free will is the highest good when you can intervene and make
I'll
things
tell you
better.
why. I'll tell you why. It's because it goes back to the argument I made earlier that if you had magic buttons, you were the god mayor, and you could press a button in this city that would make this city never have existed and stop all the bad things like puppies drowning and kids getting hurt when they shouldn't have, then, sure, you can press that button. I don't think any of us can argue if that's the right thing to do, the just thing to do. It's like it's kind of morally ambiguous. It's like, oh God,
I don't know that
everything
it's
everything
like,
just
I don't even know if it's in the
stops
same category
versus
because
like
you're making it so that it has never happened. So something that never comes to fruition, like somebody who never
right. So why would
exists.
God ever create the universe with all its bad in it? It's the same thing as why would the mayor let the city ever exist in the first place if he had a
Well, I mean,
magic
if
button?
he's got the
It's the
same
same thing that
panel,
way.
if the mayor has the same panel of buttons as God would metaphorically have, then he wouldn't have just the button to make it so that the town didn't exist. He could push the button to be like, nobody gets cancer. I'm going to push that button. But what about free will? What if they want to like naturally develop cancer by no fault of their own? Well, then, maybe he'll respect the free will for them to naturally develop cancer by no fault of their own, which has nothing to do with free will, by the way. Or he
I'd
could say like,
say
I'm
this
gonna
free
like
will extends to
the
all
magic button to
living
take
beings.
away people's desire to fuck kids. The mayor should push that button. If he's got it in front of him, I would slam that button until the button broke. You know what I mean? Like that's
No,
gonna
me too. Me
that's gonna
too. No, I
yeah.
agree. I agree.
But like
And that's why it's
God
like
has this
the free
button.
will thing really does complicate
But
things.
God's has this button and he's like, I'm not pushing that button. I could stop these people from fucking kids by taking away their desire. They can still do whatever they want. They're just not gonna want that. Because I don't want to do that. You could say that he pushed the button for me, maybe. I mean, I'd never had it in the first place, but he made me in a way where I don't want to. And he could have made everybody in a way that that's not even a possibility, right? Like there are certain things that aren't possible for us to like do. Like I don't have the free will to like sprout wings and fly away. I don't have the ability to
And yet
want
we fly.
something. And yet we constructed like machines to do it, but that's not what I'm talking about. God could push the button to make cancer go away. He could push the button to make PDFs not the way they are, so they don't even have the desire. He could press the button to make people feel like they never need to resort to gratuitous violence. You know what I mean? and they could still act on the will that they have. You only have the will insofar as the cards that you're dealt, and God could just deal us all with a deck of cards that will never result in gratuitous harm.
Yeah, and I think that'd be taking away free will.
He didn't deal you the card where you want to fuck kids. So how is that taking away your free will? Do you think that you should have the desire to fuck kids so that you
Okay,
can
this
refrain
is
from
why I
doing
brought
it?
up the argument of scarcity, I guess, is because
Well, can you like respond to what I said? Because I think that it's
yeah,
a good point.
I am.
Okay.
What? Repeat the question. If there's a really yes or no or explicit like
Yeah, so I was
question,
so
it's like, oh, why would
I
you
was
not
saying
take away
I
that
was
option
saying
in the
that
first
our
place? My
free
response to
like
that in
we
the
don't
first
have
place,
to we
I
don't
think
have
I
to
remember your
have we don't
question.
have to have all the options in order to have the free will to choose between the options that we have. So he did not give
Then
you
why
the
stop there, right? Though.
well, he does stop there sometimes, is what I'm saying. I made the point
Well,
earlier that he
no, he
could have made
doesn't. He doesn't.
he could have dealt you the card where you have a problem where you want to fuck kids, but he was like, I'm not going to give him this card. This card is for this
No,
fucker over here.
No. He never has looked at. Sure, in that sense, I don't know if you're saying he decided what percentage of people would be like that.
But he
Is
absolutely
that what you're
did.
saying?
Well, he absolutely did. 100%. If you're the cause of all events, you know the result down to the smallest detail of what will come of these events, then you're deciding to make that to be the case, right? And he could have made the universe in an infinite number of ways. He's God, right? He could have made the universe where it's slightly different to where like the only difference is like one day I decided to have 2 cups of coffee instead of 1 as a natural result of my priors leading me to, and now we're going into the free will thing. But God was like, there's an infinite number of universes with infinite possibilities that I could create. I'm going to create the one where this exact series of events is what transpires. If he knows the end result and he starts it into motion, then he decided to make all of the consequences within that sequence of events occur.
So I think I'll concede here in that I think God should have maybe done that. Maybe it didn't need to be so bad. But I guess my like last ditch like effort of arguing something that I really don't believe is that like, oh, maybe all he did was introduce a world with scarcity and this is the natural direction that things went. And this is where a lot of my skepticism came from, is it's like, why though? Why? I don't understand. I don't get it. Why does scarcity lead to this? Why is this all you just do is just create a world and this is just what we are? It doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem fair. Are we really just that?
It really doesn't.
It doesn't make any sense.
The scarcity thing to like what you're talking about, I don't see how it makes sense either. I think that it comes back to the curse that he gave Adam. You ate fruit that was off limits, so now not only you but all of your descendants are going to have to toil and work, involving people who weren't involved in the decision. Like, I didn't make the decision for Adam to eat the fruit that was off limits. Maybe knowing what I know now, I would have tackled him and like, don't you eat that shit. We don't need to know
really
the difference.
Can't.
Because now there's going to be, if you eat that
I hear
fruit,
you.
God's going to make it so that the result is that there's scarcity. God didn't need to make it so that the result would be scarcity. He could have been like, listen, your curse is that well, he said that the curse was you'll die that day, but he changed his mind, I guess. He was like, instead of dying that day, I'm going to make it so that you have to work for the rest of your life, but not just you, but people who weren't involved in this, they're also going to have to work. I'm going to punish the rest of humanity for something that just you did, which is obviously not just. Like, when somebody commits a crime, let's say that somebody ate fruit that was off limits and now they're taken to court for it. Did you eat this fruit, Dave? It was off limits. It was like reserved for somebody else, and you took a bite. well, now we're gonna take away your family's resources. It's like, why my family? Like, what? They have nothing to do with it. If you're gonna, first of all, it's ridiculous for me to be punished for eating some fruit. I'll pay a fine, whatever it costs. But like, like a lifetime punishment for me is already unjust. But involving the people that I caused into existence, my family, why involve them at all? That's entirely unjust. So all the way back from the beginning, this scarcity curse, this curse to work, this curse for um, labor in women to be excruciating, or he said he would multiply the pain. So maybe it was already painful from the start, but that's besides the point. These curses that he gives us that cause the like the fallen state that people talk about, this is an unjust punishment. The people that did the original very minor transgression are long dead.
Right, and I won't even
They're
bother
not
to make the
involved.
whole argument of like, oh, well, that's just Satan, because like, well, according to the Bible itself, wasn't he because of God?
Satan would
So
have
like,
been
as a
intended,
skeptic,
this all would
I
have been a
don't
part of the
really.
plan.
That's a common argument against that. It's like, oh no, all the bad things, that's just Satan. I'm like, I don't. But who? But why does he exist? Because of God, right? So why did God let that happen? So yeah, I agree with you there, and this is kind of what leads to my I'm drunk. My skepticalism on the whole thing. And this is why I'll concede here, and I'll say one more thing before I go, is because that's my point of contention. That's where I'm the most skeptical there, is like, yeah, sure, I can maybe rationalize on some level that like, oh, if you're going to get rid of some level of bad, why not get rid of all levels of bad, and that takes away free will? But I don't really feel it. I can make that argument, but I don't really feel it. And I can say that like, oh,
what do you
maybe
think
the Bible just wanted to give us the opportunity between good and bad while wanting us to be good. Well, that too, I'm just like, I don't feel it. I can say those things, but I don't feel it.
What do you think is the criteria for one to have free will? Because I think there's certain things that like you don't want to do, and I think that it like you can still choose to do the things that you want to do within your list of desires, right? Like you've got things that you want to do, things you don't want to do. The things you don't want to do, you don't really have to worry about your free will. You still would say that out of the list of things you want to do, you have the will to choose which one you do at any given moment. If the things you don't want to do really aren't on the table, unless we're talking about like a case where like because like going to the gym is a common thing. Like I don't want to go to the gym, but I do want to be disciplined and I do want to get in better shape, and that's gonna like override my desire to sit on the couch. You're still doing what you want. I don't know that you have to have a desire to do gratuitously evil things to still have free will, but what do you think is the criteria for someone to have free will?
Well, I don't think that people are born with some desire to do evil things. I think that like you're born in a village where the other village wants to kill you, and you don't have enough people to beat them. B, you don't have a very high population either, so you need to produce more people for your village. And C, you have a lot of poison. I don't think God like went into his evil lab and said, I'm going to concoct the most evil scenario for humanity to deal with. No, you end up with a village full of people who are poisoned and a bunch of people who are taken advantage of to be soft spoken for TikTok, and a bunch of now the enemy is defeated. Now you have more of your population, and a bunch of evil acts were committed for the quote unquote greater good. So I don't think God is concocting these evil scenarios. I think these just happen in scarcity, right? And that's just observable. That's just plainly observable. But I can't make that argument and honestly believe that there couldn't have been a better playing field to have been laid out before us. I agree with you.
My question
That's
was,
my biggest
what do you think is the criteria for one to have free will?
To have the like same. I think when we talk about I mean, I don't think anybody argues in a court of law that somebody has taken somebody else's free will away. I think we argue a little bit differently, even though it could be seen that way.
But what do
I
you
don't
think is
think
the
anybody can
criteria?
take anybody else's free will away. Free will is something that is on some scientific on some levels could be shit. Let me just argue directly, or answer directly. Free will is being able to make a choice, as simply as I can put it.
So as long as you can make choices, you have free will.
No, that's not good enough because again, I guess if a lot of factors are really heavily influenced, and maybe you're given like this like really bad hand that's just made to look like free will. I think that I don't know. I don't know if I can really argue that either. I don't know. Can I just say I don't know?
That's
I'm not
that
really
no,
prepared to answer that
that's
question. I
absolutely.
don't know.
If you don't know,
So
Dave,
free will, as it's
then
defined
that's
in the
the best
dictionary,
thing
is
that
the
you can
concept
say.
that individuals have the capacity to make voluntary choices and control their actions independently of external coercion, fate, or physical determinism. So I think that first one, external coercion, maybe defeats my understanding of free will, whereas like I don't really see, a bad guy walking into a room and saying, "Oh no, you can't eat a Freezy Pop right now." Is like I don't really see that as taking away somebody's free will. I really don't. I don't see external coercion as taking away free will. That's one point I maybe would disagree with. Fate and physical determinism, I would agree with. That heavily plays into free will.
Right. Now, if your fate is determined, do you have free will?
According to this definition, no, you don't.
So, does God know what your ultimate fate is?
Just because you know the future doesn't mean you have made a decision to control it.
That's not
And
what I'm
yes,
getting
he
at.
does know.
So, yeah,
So
like
repeat your question.
yeah,
Repeat
so
your
I
question.
was asking, does God know your ultimate fate?
Yes, but just because you know somebody's ultimate fate and can control it doesn't mean you will control it.
Sure. So
Does that make sense?
I don't need to I'm not even going to talk about whether or not he controls it.
Fine. Yeah.
So God knows your ultimate fate. What that means is that your fate is already determined. If your fate is
again,
determined,
just
then
because
you don't have free
I
will.
would go back on what I just said. Just because somebody knows your fate and can change your fate doesn't mean they did.
Do you think, all right, here's an example that might help you a little bit. So
Sure.
let's say you're at a crossroads, you have a decision to make. You can choose to do A or you can choose to do B. God knows with 100% certainty, due to his omniscience, that you will choose A. That's your fate. You will choose A. It's 100% guarantee as far as God's concerned. He knows this as an absolute fact. Can you prove him wrong and choose B?
Well, given that he's omniscient and he knows that you're going to choose A, no.
Right. So now there's another circumstance after. So B is not actually a possibility. You've conceded that there is only one choice that you actually have. B is not a possible thing you can do. You can only do A. So now that you've chosen A, you've got decisions C and D in front of you. God knows for a 100% fact that you're going to choose C. Can you prove him wrong and choose D?
Can you repeat?
It's the same thing, but with different letters. So if you're going to be consistent, you would say like you can't prove him
Then
wrong.
no.
You
Then
can only
no
do
again, yeah.
you can only do what God already knows you're going to do. He doesn't have to necessarily be involved. This could be a universe he stumbled upon that he didn't create, and he's like, I'm not touching this shit, but he knows the outcome. Like the fact that he knows the outcome means the fate is already set. Like it doesn't have to involve his power, which God is the prime mover in our universe allegedly. So this would involve him deciding what the fate is, but I'm not even going that route. The fact that the fate is determined is proven by his knowledge of it. Like, if you can only do the one thing at any given moment that God already knows you're going to do, and all other decisions you think you have, like all the options, like say you have a decision to make between a million options, he knows you're going to choose option 6, 7. The only thing you can do is 6, 7.
Jesus
It's
Christ.
impossible to do anything else.
You bastard. All right. Well,
There's no free will.
all
You
right.
have one option in any given
So
moment.
I would say if you have a world, no, that doesn't make sense. Well, actually, it does maybe. Actually, it does make sense. Okay. I can still argue free will. Do you want to see how?
Yes.
2 worlds. Option A, the one you just described. Option B, God saw you choose option A every single time. No matter how many B, C, Ds he gave you as alternatives, you chose option A, and that was your fate. He didn't force you to choose it, but he knew you would with his omniscience and all that. Right? Are we good so far?
Okay.
And then he
You cut out for a second. I
and
didn't
that
hear
is
you.
a world where
I didn't hear you.
sorry,
You
my
cut
alarm went off. So in the second scenario, you described the first. The second scenario, he knows you're going to choose option B, C, D, or he no matter how many options he gives you, B, C, D through Z, you're always going to choose option A. But in scenario 2, he forces you, takes away your free will to choose A, and makes you choose option B with his omnipotence. That is a world where God's power supersedes your fate, your free will to choose option A.
What
You
I
still
heard-
chose option A.
Yeah.
Whatever
Well, what I
arguments you can
heard,
make
Dave,
about fate,
is like you gave me 2 worlds, and neither of which have free will. And the first one, God knows the outcome, and since he knows the outcome, you can only do what he knows you're going to do.
but
And the
God
second
isn't
one,
necessary for the first option, is it? He doesn't even have to be
he's
there.
not necessary.
So what you're
but,
really
like,
arguing
yeah,
is not an argument about God at
but
all.
like
in the
if
first
in the
option.
second option, this is like against free will. In the second option, God knows the outcome and changes it. Then he didn't actually know that you were going to do A. He knew that he was going to determine you to do B. So if he doesn't touch it, then you can't choose B. Like it's impossible for you to choose B even in the second world. He can intervene, and you say take away your free will, but you didn't have free will to begin with for him to take away. He just changed your fate. Right? Like
That's
so
like saying if I know that somebody's going to cut me off in traffic and I hit the brakes because I know they're going to cut me off with some level of omniscience, that it just doesn't make sense.
So God in the second scenario, it's not that he knew you were going to choose A and made you choose B. He knew that if he did not make you choose B, you would choose A. So it's determined either way. Either you are determined to do A, or God can make it so that you can do B. And God would already know with his omniscience that you were never going to do A. You're going to do B because he's decided that you're going
Only
to do B.
because he took away your free will.
And if he did not intervene, could you have done anything other than A?
Well, I would say that there's an argument to be made here about if you just take people's biological brain and you take their lived experiences, their nature and nurture, and you give them a scenario, what are they going to do every single time, no matter how many times you replay that scenario? Forget God plays a part in like in a world of atheism. If you assume that like what somebody's going to choose, A through B or whatever, A through D, that they're going to choose that based off of their brain and their environment, then sure, we can argue that people don't have free will all day, whether God exists or not, and that they're going to choose A all day. And I would then argue that if some magical being stepped into the room and said, no, despite your brain, despite your town you grew up in, you're choosing B, despite everything that you want and that your brain is equipped to like decide, I'm going to choose B against reality,
Right,
against what naturally would occur.
but he wouldn't have taken away your free will in the second situation. He would have decided for you, but it's sort of like if you were to take away my Lamborghini, I don't have a Lamborghini for you to take. You know what I mean? If I could have gotten one and you got it before I got to it, that's sort of like more like what it's like. Like if I don't take this Lamborghini, then Lopes will eventually get it. So I'll take the Lamborghini for myself or whatever. That's like option B, where you get the Lambo. But never did I actually have the free will. If God does not intervene, he still knows that I'm only going to do A. And it's not my free will, because since he knows that I'm going to do A, it's physically impossible for me to do anything other than A. This is like the first
That's why I'm
world.
saying. That's why I'm saying this kind of goes down to determinism rather than an argument of like, is God controlling what you do?
Right. Well, I mean, so if God is the creator of the universe, the first cause, knowing all the subsequent ramifications, then he does decide what you do. But if he did not create the universe and he's not involved at all, but he just knows, you still don't have free will. It's not like God's fault you don't have free will, but you don't have free will in either case. And to say that if he were to like decide for you what you do, he doesn't take away your free will, because if he didn't intervene, you already don't have free will. He can't take it away. He
Right.
just changes what you do
Right, but
or what you would have done.
right, but to defer to the Bible and all that, like again, I would say this earlier, I don't really feel this when I say it, but the argument is to be made here from my side is that all he's doing is not creating a world that's good. He's creating an environment where we can choose between good and bad, while gently nudging every once in a while with the examples that were given in the Bible to encourage good and discourage bad.
If you're going to invoke the Bible, free will isn't mentioned anywhere in the Bible, but things like predestination are. Now, I don't know that you need to be able to choose between bad things in order for you to have free will, if I'm going to go back to granting it. But I think I've kind of beat the dead horse on this one. Like you can
Right,
have
why,
a world where
which is
there's
why I said
only good
earlier,
options.
I feel like we're going
you
in
know?
circles, and I'm ready to concede on the whole, like, I don't really know why God didn't create a more just environment for us to develop in, towards good or towards bad.
Do you think that if God could have made a more just environment, as you put it, but he decided to put us in a world that is not as just, that is just?
I could make an argument for that, actually.
So
It's
you could
just
make an
going to be
argument.
batshit
You could
insane, and there's no point in making
you
it.
could
I
make
have
an
a,
argument
I have
for
a, I have
how
a, I have a trump card. It's more of a joke than anything, but let's
okay,
bring it
as long
back
as
to
it's
the
a joke,
example
because
with the puppy.
like what you said just
No,
sounds
yeah,
like
yeah, no, yeah,
completely
but it'll be
irrational.
entertaining. I promise. I'll argue against that too. Restate it one more time so I can address it
Yeah.
directly.
Do you think? Right. Sure. I'll just restate the question. So,
Yeah.
it's because what it sounds like you said was,
Buckle in.
you can make an argument of how God choosing to make a more unjust world rather than a more just world is still just.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the example with the puppy, and I'm going to drop after this because I argued as far as I could, and you reached my level of skepticism where I just really can't argue any further because I agree I don't understand why there couldn't have been a world where we could develop like that sense of good and evil just from like, I don't know, stealing something from a vending machine versus not stealing something from a vending machine. I think that would be really, 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 really nice if we had been given that environment to prove that we're not, to prove some like free will and to whatever. I agree with you there, and I just really don't get it. I don't understand why there's so much evil in the world and why it couldn't have been better. Now, enter my ult. Why can there be a just world, or whatever argument you just made about it could have been more just, why wasn't it? What if I told you that it was all along, despite looking like it wasn't? Is why I said that this would be more entertaining and bullshit than
Am I
anything.
supposed to respond seriously?
The puppy that you said drowned actually didn't. All it was a test for the person standing outside of the pool. And the puppy got magically transported into a different universe and a different timeline where the puppy never had any stress in the first place and he never died. And it was just a test for you all along as God's child to do the right thing and take the puppy out of the pool, and the puppy never suffered at all. And you can just impose that belief on the entire planet, and all the bad things that happen in the world are just a test for you to do a little bit better.
Just a test that
That's my ult. That's my ult. That's my trump card.
And you said it's a joke, so I don't know that I need to necessarily respond to it because there's a load of problems with it, but I like ending on a joke. That was very funny. Yeah.
Yeah. I won't argue that one seriously, but because it goes into that realm of like, you can't fucking prove this in either direction an inch.
Yeah, all it would suggest is that like God feels the need to test, although he knows the results, so it's like he's testing for no reason, like just for the sake of it. And even if nobody is being harmed every time that it seems like somebody got brutalized, actually it's just like a simulation or something. And
You're right.
And all this,
You're
all
right
it's doing
about
is
that.
making God look like he's a maniac, but it's like, well, he's secretly good, but he wants you to believe he's a maniac. And it's like, okay, well, why in the fucking world would he want you to do that? I mean, this kind of goes back to the litmus test idea, where God only lets atheists into heaven because only atheists will actually look at the world and think critically about it and not come. He's like, I'm not going to give him any evidence of my existence. So if you're naive enough to like follow a dogma, then like I don't want you in here. I don't want nincompoops in here. And I don't want you to like go on and defend atrocities just because you think I did it. Like you think that just because I did it, that the atrocity is somehow good. What are you, a maniac? Like he's like, I don't want people like crazy evangelical fundamentalist Christians in heaven. I want the more reasonable people. Like if you're going to challenge me on something that's obviously wicked, yeah, you're in. Like you've got balls, and that's what we need around here is balls. Because I could snuff you out, but you've got the integrity to stand up for what's right. Holy shit! Thanks. Oh my God, is it Goat California for the fucking galaxy? Appreciate that, man.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for the galaxy.
No, but
I
you're
really
right.
appreciate that
God could have just created us with that memory of having saved the puppy. Would have never actually, the scenario of never having actually happened. He could have just invented a person who was given tests and got the answer right every single time. You're right. But what would be the point of that?
Yeah, what's the point of anything God does? I mean, if God's perfect,
And
and
that's
he
why
needs
I
nothing.
deferred. I
Like,
just don't get it at this point. We've argued to the point where I just don't get it anymore, and
well,
I
I'm
can't answer
happy to
that.
hear
I
that,
don't
and
understand.
I would love to hear you come back and be like, you know what, Lobes, it doesn't make any sense. I'm like agnostic or I'm anything because I think you really are on your way out, and that's wonderful to hear. I don't know what's keeping you hanging on, but it seems like you're actually thinking critically and you know, taking your skepticism seriously. I think that if God holds water, then he'll hold up to scrutiny. And if it doesn't make sense after scrutinizing, then you're not justified in still believing the thing that doesn't make sense anymore, right? So I appreciate your honesty this whole time. This has been a really fun conversation. Hey, join my Discord
Yeah,
and
I agree.
maybe we can like have
It's
more
been
casual
really nice
conversations.
and refreshing to have this chat. And I agree. I I I I was in that boat like 10 years ago, though. I would agree, but I was in that boat 10 years ago, and I did stray, and all that did was make life worse, make me worse.
Yeah. Well, you
And
know, Dave, like
that's why I entered the
regardless of
conversation saying
regardless
I
of
think that
whether or
there's some
not
people
it makes your life better, I think that in your heart of
that doesn't make it
hearts,
true.
yeah, like
It
yeah,
doesn't.
it doesn't,
In
and I
my
think
heart of
that deep
hearts,
down
I will
you know,
continue hoping that there's some good reason for all of this and trying to do my best to be good,
as
but
long
I
as
don't
you
know why,
yeah, as long
and
as
I
you
don't know how I
acknowledge
got
that,
there.
as long as you're able to acknowledge that that's a coping mechanism. Then I mean, yeah, like that's the problem with being skeptical. You come to truths that are uncomfortable and it shatters people's coping mechanisms, like the belief in heaven, for instance. I didn't want to lose that shit. You know, it's scary. Um, but like once I started thinking critically, I was sort of past the point of no return. It seems like you're well on your way. That way, not to scare you or anything, because it seems like you went that way before and it wasn't pretty for your like mental health or what have you. But if you ever do find yourself in that situation where you've like, dude, I've lost my faith and am having an existential crisis. I'm having an identity crisis. Never feel like you're alone, like so many of us were. We have the internet here. We've got the TikTok community
Thank
of
you.
atheists and stuff. You could always come back and talk to me specifically. I would also recommend Recovering from Religion. It's not just for people who are apostates or whatever. If you're questioning or skeptical, somebody like you would be a perfect match for talking to the people in those support groups. Just breaking it all down, the ramifications of the belief itself. I've co-hosted their TikTok lives a few times, I think twice. They do lives once a month on the first Tuesday of every month. So, and they're not just a presence here, but they have a whole like organization. They're a nonprofit and all that stuff. But yeah, if you ever find yourself where you're at that edge and you're falling down, you have a safety net that you can just reach out to. You don't have to do it alone like I did and so many others. It's very terrible to do it by yourself. Feel comforted in the fact that we will be here for you because I'm excited for that, and I hope that that comes to fruition.
I appreciate that, because what can be more jarring than going from you have purpose and everything has purpose to the belief that you don't and nothing does. And not to say that that's the atheist belief, but that's where so many people end up after losing their faith.
I'm an example of that type of person that went down nihilism and apathy and not wanting to live. I was like, man, I wish I was never born in the first place. I still kind of loosely hold the belief that it's better for us to have never been born for like certain philosophical reasons. Um,
I
not that
know a
I'm
lot of
I'm not
mayors who would have pressed that button.
I'm not a yeah I'm not an antinatalist necessarily or anything like that. Um, but yeah, like I'm somebody who's an example of someone who's dealt with what you're talking about, that they've gone through that, they've lost that purpose. I lost that purpose. I'm like, there is no purpose. It was terrible to go through, and I think I'm ultimately better for it. I just got a restriction. Oh, for the suicide
Oh
self-harm.
no.
10 minutes. I'm about to end anyway.
How?
I think I
Well,
referenced like antinatalism or something, or I don't know. Oh yeah, because I said like I've had the thought where I didn't want to live anymore at one point. That's what it was. Well, at least it happened at the end. It's 10 minutes, and I'm not going to be alive for 10 more minutes, so it's okay.
all right. Well, I had a good chat with you. Thanks for having
Yeah,
me up.
yeah. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate you. W's in the chat for Dave. Dave, give me a follow and come back any day of the week. Well, I'm not live every day of the week, but like usually it's Monday through Thursdays when I do it. Join the Discord if you want. It's more casual. We can DM there if you'd like, or talk in the chats. Yeah, this has been a pretty fun stream, and we got way off topic, and that's fine. There was no guests when we started this, and I'm very happy with where it went. Yeah, Dave is a fantastic guest. Um, so let me do this. I'm gonna check out who we can raid. Uh, Christ paid fully. I see you. I would love to have a conversation with you, but I can't tonight. I'm over time. I got to do stuff in the morning. But you're welcome to come back on it's Thursday now, so probably Monday. If not Monday, definitely Tuesday. It mostly hinges on how tired I am, but I commit to Tuesday and Thursday more than Monday, Wednesday, just because I want to like give myself an out if I want to take a day off. So what we'll do, guys, is we're gonna go ahead and raid Born Again Atheist. We'll go ahead and raid Boma. So I'll see you guys over at Born Again Atheist, and I'll see y'all on Monday. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for the taps. 22,000 likes. Awesome. You guys are best. You guys are the best.
First off, we're gonna start off by saying Genesis is not a scientific accounting for the specifics. Catholic theory it does accept evolution. We do accept evolution as a point of theory.
But it's weird because the Bible does say exactly in this order, in this amount of days. JP is not gonna get to sub.
Okay, but you could also say that there is no concept of time and days. It's a very man-made concept. Whenever the Bible was made, it's just to, help humans understand. Genesis is an accounting for sin, original sin.
Yeah, but we're not at the first sin yet. We're on the first page. First sin happens in a couple pages.
Well, I'm just telling you what Genesis is an accounting for. It's not a scientific accounting for creation. It's just to say this story for original sin.
But that's a different account. The Garden of Eden is a different account than the origins of the creation of the universe.
It's more so an analogy.
He said, in the beginning I made the heavens and the earth, made light and darkness. On day one, it was a day. It was awesome.
you